5 people already back on. Holy mother. Don't pick your nose. Don't pick your nose. That. Sure. You know what? Who cares if it's all up in our faces? Like that. Like that. Here's a tip. You don't want to blow directly into the mic. If you can, you want it to be at a little bit of an angle. If you can figure one out. Tet. Hobadobadoo. 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 No, too close. Hobadobadoo. Okay. Clap for Daniel. He's so spectacular. Hot so fun back. Okay. You can see that. Okay. Cool. Cool. I don't care who sees me do this. I'll eat it too. That's sick. Sorry. Hey, what's with the blurriness? Yes, there's a guest. Our guest tonight is none other than, in my best radio voice, it's going to be Gregory Lessing Garrett. Gregory Lessing Garrett. Hey, what's good, David Edwards? What's good, floor worker? What's cracking? Oh, well, look who it is. It's none other than our guest himself. He's already hanging out in the chat. We are literally minutes away from setting this whole thing off. I literally just need to go outside, take a little bit of a wee. And Greg, you can see our imagery isn't perfect, but we do have visual. I have to hold it up, unfortunately, but we will continue to work on the visual in that regard. Hopefully I can figure out a way to superimpose images on here, but it's got to go through YouTube, so it's like, how do I do that? Hopefully there is a way. I've been looking online. There's some programs people use. But with that goes a lot of technical things and things that don't work once they get updated. So we'll see how that goes. But can I like do a placeholder or something, or do I just have to get up and like leave my chair? Like, okay, I guess I got to just go outside and pee. So I don't want to turn all this off. Oh, I know what I could do. Why don't I just point the freaking thing over there? Cool. Too invasive. Transhumanist technologies, they're spying on everything I do. It's going to be the work of Gregory Lessing Garrett and his work researching and writing about topics such as the global control matrix, transhumanism, flat Earth, etc., etc. We will get to that. Taking off my boots. Putting on my slippers. Who starts a YouTube live vid and then has to take a piss? A guy who just drank a big fat energy drink. Okay, first test. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Well, that's an interesting angle. You can see all my crap. Okay, you can hear me. Good. Connecting to the live stream. Hitting record. Where's my music? From the broken ruins of Babylon, this is End of Days Radio. With your host, Daniel, that's me, coming at you all the way from that shimmering Emerald City, right here in the heart of the beautiful emerald green Pacific Northwest. The salmon are dying, by the way. We'll talk about that later. Today's guest is none other than Gregory Lessing Garrett. Greg is an independent researcher and author devoted to cracking the mystery of our everyday reality and the belief system that has been thrust upon us by the ruling elite. And here he is. And all of his books, including The Scientism Delusion, which we all started on. Remember, that was the awesome book that cracked this whole thing open, that got us all started. Greg's masterpiece there, as well as Atheism Refuted, another great one. The Gnostic, Luciferian, New Age, Babylon Revisited, the Flat Earth Trilogy, Book of Secrets. I believe he's done 2 of those so far. We'll have to ask him about the 3rd one. as well as One Deception to Rule Them All. A very cool book that I look forward to reading. Haven't got into it yet, but very cool stuff. And he's going to talk about all of his work, and we're going to talk about the flat earth as well as other things. So let's stop wasting the day and get him up on this line. We're already 4 minutes late, unfortunately. I like to do everything by the tick of the clock. And let's get this party started. Oh, Daniel, are you kidding me? Did you really not even open Skype yet, you noob? Bad, Daniel, bad. I shall punish myself later. Whoosh, 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 the Catholic way. Whoosh, whoosh, ah! It hurts, but I can't stop because it's my belief system. Okay. And contacts.
Hello.
Greg!
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, no. Hello. You can't hear me. Okay, 1 second. Darn it. There's always something there, isn't there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me at all now? Can you hear me now? Anything at all?
I can't hear you. I can hear you through my laptop, but I don't want to play back because I go back.
Oh, yeah. We'll get this sorted out. Just let's see here.
We could do this like, let's see. Can you hear this like, we could do like NASA. I say, we could do like NASA. I say, we could do like NASA.
Let's see here. It's just probably my mic just not quite coming through the way it should. Yep, it's on the wrong. Can you hear me now, Greg?
Yep, it's on the wrong.
You can hear me now. You can hear me now? Hello, Greg? Oh, now we lost him. Let's try that again. So could you guys out there, could you hear us both? I'm new to this. I know I look terrible right now, but... Greg, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Greg?
No, I can't hear you through my Bluetooth. No, I can't hear you through my Bluetooth. I just, when I listen to the laptop,
what was that? Can you hear me now?
Not coming through my Bluetooth. Can you hear me now? Not coming through my Bluetooth. Through my laptop, but I can't.
How about now? How about now?
For some reason, it's not coming through my Bluetooth, which is what I need to hear your voice. It's not coming through my Bluetooth, which is what I need to hear your voice.
Okay, let's see here. I got my mic set up right. And let's see. Anything now?
No, well, let me try something.
Okay. We'll get it sorted. One way or another. If there's a will, there is a way. See, this video is great because you guys can watch me turn very red when something goes wrong. Eyes embarrassed. Hello.
Not to my Bluetooth, but you know what I did is I put my headphones into my laptop. Okay, can you fix that?
Can you hear me now? So you can hear me.
I don't know why it's not feeding back to the Bluetooth.
Does it work on your phone without the Bluetooth, I wonder?
What I'm doing now is I have my earpod, like, headphone. Oh, call me again. Hello?
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing, testing.
Oh, that wasn't me calling. No, it's not going through the Bluetooth.
Well, it looks like
It's going to my laptop. You can see there's a big delay. I'm hearing you in my... Yeah, I hear you, then I hear it.
Well, we will see what happens. If we get a caller that calls in and they can't hear me, then I know for sure it's something on my end, which I of course, I don't doubt at all. And then if it works okay, whoops, if it works okay.
You know what? I'm using my, hold on, let me try something.
Okay.
Let me try something.
Sorry again, everybody.
Okay, I fixed it.
Oh, you got it working?
Yeah, I got it working. So you can hear me, right? I can hear you.
I can hear you great. You sound fantastic.
Okay. You're cutting out a little bit. I don't know why that is.
But besides cutting out a little bit, I sound fantastic?
Oh, no. Actually, I was looking at the YouTube video of you talking, and there's a delay. So I had to stop looking at that video and just talk to you.
Oh, okay. But, okay, excellent. Sounds like we are good to go finally. And
yeah, it's a lot like NASA, kind of like the illusion.
yeah. It's funny because I have some people that they don't just get mad at me, but they get so furious at me. If I even question NASA or anything like that, I don't even try with them. I don't even try because the walls are a little bit too thick with some folk.
Yeah, it's a learning curve to kind of deprogram yourself and to get through the brainwashing and become humble enough to recognize that there's the possibility that you may have not had all the answers and that people in control may have lied to you. And that's a lot to swallow for anybody.
Yeah, and the thing that you and I always talk about is once you kind of get into this stuff, it might mean certain things that you like aren't really the possibility that we might have thought they are, like things like a Star Trek future and all of that sort of thing where humanity reaches out towards the stars and comes with all this amazing technology to make our lives even easier than our lazy everyday lives that we already have.
Well, I'm all about that. I was raised on sci-fi, Star Trek, Star Wars, you name it. It got Lost in Space. My favorite Martian. It's just remedial, old school television space propaganda. And I was really upset that I can't prove that outer space exists. I'm really trying. I spend all my nights and days trying to prove the existence of outer space. And unsuccessfully. So all those dreams and hopes about transhumanistic voyages out into outer space and living forever like Jupiter ascending, where we harvest planets for precious commodities that enable us to live forever. Like time is the commodity. Money is ridiculous because you have all the resources in the universe, and time is all you want. You live trillions and trillions of years. You know everything. And I thought that would be great, only that I can't prove outer space exists. So I have to kind of hold all those aspirations on the back burner.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And on the topic of Jupiter ascending, I, for one, when I watched that movie, I know it didn't really turn into the huge mega hit that the creators wanted it to, like the Matrix or something like that. But when I was watching it, so many things struck a chord with me. Like so many little, you see so many little clues in there of things that they want you to believe, or beliefs that are sort of floating around out there. Like the reptile guy, like that was basically a reptilian, a big crocodile head, the cape and everything. That was basically the reptile guy from Jupiter Ascending was the idea of a reptilian that we see in the ufology world.
Yeah, it's like David Icke was part of the team that wrote the script of that movie.
I didn't know that.
I'm not serious.
No.
But I'm saying it's like that because you know, you have the reptilian alien hybrids, which is what he talks about. And okay, but think about it. Ike has a lot of stuff that's probably absolute science fiction. So Jupiter Ascending is a science fiction film, so this all makes sense. That one of the things I talk about all the time is how science fiction is sold to us as actual empirical science using modern astrophysics and cosmology and, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson's rants about absolute nonsense. And so we're like, oh yeah, okay, so everything's possible now, like all the sci-fi things, you know, the tricorder reading from Star Trek and the hand device. Now we have flip phones. Now we have smartphones. I mean, we've gone beyond Star Trek, all the visions of technology. Okay, so the idea is it starts to merge and dovetail into a huge delusionary maelstrom of sophisticated delusion. And so nobody knows what's science fiction, what's science. There's no way to sort it out. And so Jupiter, let's bring it back to Jupiter Ascending. And so what you have is you have a film. When I first saw it, I thought, okay, it's a space opera, which means it's a love story. And it's very hokey. You got flying skates. I mean, what kind of movie has flying skates? You're on skates, you're flying through the air. Okay, it's just absolute silly space opera. But the underlying themes are extremely dark and extremely serious and extremely occult. You don't funnel like whatever these guys, Wachowski brothers. Well, I can never remember their name. The transgender brothers, you know, because they keep switching their gender. They don't. You don't receive $250 million to do a film unless you're doing the bidding of the elite masters who run from behind the scenes. These mystery schools, this network of secret societies. So Jupiter Ascending is a Gnostic rendition. It's a portrayal of the Gnostic religion. They even have the House of Abraxas. If you watch the film, they have the House of Abraxas. And that's a Gnostic idea. That's purely mystical Gnosticism, Abraxas. And so they mine the earth for precious, they like kill people and extract this precious essence that enables them to live forever. Well, what do the Satanists do? The Satanists sacrifice children and virgins, and they kill them brutally. They rape and kill them, and they drink the blood. So that's kind of like the essence of a person, right? Blood, that they think enables them to live longer. And this is a very well-known thing. In fact, everyone's exposing this in Hollywood, but they're actually, you know, killing thousands and thousands and thousands of people and drinking the blood and opening. And they're now bathing in blood. They're now like Katy Perry and Lady Gaga taking blood baths, in blood. So, you know, this whole satanic, it's called the unveiling or the realization of the hierarchy in Alice Bailey's writings, who's a devotee of Madame Helena Blavatsky. And the idea is that they're unveiling the satanic beast system that's always been in place. And they're unveiling it in front of our eyes with EDM concerts and the emphasis on pornographic violence and blood sacrifice and satanic rituals. And it's no longer taboo. It's like, it's mainstream Netflix. It's everywhere. Satanism, cannibalism, transgender thing, which is the Baphomet. That's all that is. So, yeah, why don't you say something, Daniel?
Yeah, you know, so many points I could grab onto there. The Jupiter Ascending, once again, the whole hierarchy, the idea that these super rich people, these rulers, it's whatever they want. It's not what we want. They don't care about us. We're basically just getting farmed. We are their slaves. And you see that repeated not only in Jupiter Ascending, but a lot of other media and stuff like that. It seems very embedded in all of us, the idea that we always have to go with the flow in some way, whether that's in the workplace or society or the church or whatever. Everybody's kind of pressured to conform.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy theme in Jupiter Ascending too. It's interesting, and I was talking to you before the show. Obviously, we were kind of throwing some ideas back and forth about what to get into to illustrate some of these ideas that are in my previous books, and then in my next book, it's called, okay, I'll drop the bomb. My next book, book 8. Book 7 is the third book in the trilogy, Flat Earth Trilogy, Book of Secrets 3. And it's really good. It's one of those books where I just put it in the kitchen sink. But the next book after that, I started an 8th book, which is called Apotheosis and the Cosmos. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into tonight. Not so much the flat Earth, and we'll talk about that too, I'm sure. But the how this all culminates is the idea of flat Earth is key, and the idea of outer space obviously is very controversial and key. But in the context of the Earth being flat and there being no outer space, and I'm going to try to say this slow because this is the crux of where this is. I think even beyond one deception to rule them all, the book where I said this is the one deception to rule them all. Well, yeah, but there's a deeper layer, and that's, I keep going deeper to find like the very fundamental ground level of reality. And so what you have in the context of the Earth being flat, potentially, or at least no curvature, right? And there being no outer space, it becomes readily apparent that the transhumanistic agenda for space travel, this whole idea of Star Trek and Star Wars and the Mars rover and the Space Force by Trump, and all these things are actually merely a ruse or a ploy for the elite transhumanistic Luciferians to push their occult interdimensional ideologies. So they're not really caring about space travel. They don't care about colonizing anything. They can't. They never have. You can't get beyond 100 kilometers, or the Van Allen belts, which are really a quasi-vitreous metallic dome. It's like a firmament of whatever. Vitreous material and argon gases, which is what stars are, sunluminescent stars. But so they've never gone there. So they don't really care. They're just making movies and writing books and Arthur C. Clarking their way through, 2001: Space Odyssey, to get you to conform and submit to a fantasy, a cult fantasy. The question is why? Why are they taking us into outer space? Because they are. This is the question. There is no bigger question. That's what One Deception to Rule Them All was hinting on, the fake alien messiah, where they're going to unveil an artificial intelligence-based alien intelligence that will be the messiah. Okay, so it's all hinging and anchored by outer space.
And
now,
what's really interesting about what you just said, people they're listening to this, one thing they should keep in mind is that the concept of there being life on other planets and the concept of space travel and aliens, that comes from the world of literature. It comes from fiction. And then it became our science, but it started out in fiction.
Yeah, if you go back, I sent you a few images. Maybe, Daniel, if you can find the image of, it's like a bullet hitting the eye of the man on the moon. That's like an early movie. I forgot, 20s or 30s. And it was kind of showing the world how you have this space travel idea, everything's space and space. Then you had Buck Rogers, and you had later on for Star Wars. But so the idea is to use fictional channels and science fiction, and even NASA is just fiction. All NASA is a science fiction movie production company with really, really expensive props called rockets. The rockets are real. They go up and out and down into the Pacific Ocean. So it's real. So that's the moon. The idea, you're showing it on the screen now that I can see, the bullet or the spacecraft hitting the eye of the moon. So that was an early movie. And so this all started a long time ago. Even with Copernicus wrote, or Kepler, I forgot the name of the book, or it's called The Somnante, the Dream. It's like the dream of the moon or something like that. Kepler, we're back to Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo. Kepler wrote a thing, like a play or a book about, going to the moon, the dream of going to the moon. Back then, they were working this out. That's the 15th century, 16th century, and 17th century. They were trying to develop this science fiction mentality. And this goes back to Hermetic philosophies of Egypt. I mean, it all goes back in time. It's always been a repackaged agenda. We're just seeing it in full array because of the power of CGI and digital technology. They can create these virtual augmented realities of space that are so authentic that there's merging. This is the satanic occult part. They're merging illusion and occult fantasy with our reality. They're reconfiguring reality itself. They're restructuring what is real. And that's their agenda. That's their credo. They establish what is real and what is not real. That's epistemological establishing. It's the epistemology, opinion versus fact. So they're going to use digital technology and Ready Player One technology and VR headsets and cell phones and holograms and movies and you name it. And
oh
so
man,
we are so
Ready Player One. That's one that I think came out kind of in between our interviews, and that's got to be the #1 biggest VR pushing platform that I've ever seen. It's like they're telling us exactly what we have to do. We have to have like these rolling balls under our feet so we can walk in every direction, and we're all just going to sit in our shitty little trailers and be in VR every day because VR is so much better than sitting in our shitty little trailers.
That's exactly what they're trying to establish. And hasn't it already occurred? I mean, even a cell phone is, the word cell, like, they should just call it prison cell phone. Because it's just, the word cell, we're in jail, digital fucking jail. So Ready Player One is just kind of like one step closer to showing us what they've always had. How many kids spend 12 hours playing Halo and Fortnite or whatever? It's just all day long, just games. And because they make them so attractive, and movies, and I watch movies a lot. I'm just trapped. A friend of mine the other day was talking about. He said, "You're a hypocrite, Greg, because you use technology, and you explain how it's a trap." And I said, "Yeah, my message isn't that I don't use it. My message is that we're all trapped, including me, and indoctrinated into a digital prison." So it's kind of like the dream of the Egyptian pharaohs to enslave people mentally. I mean, they enslave them with chains and also mentally. But this is like the ultimate dream where you can put it, Elon Musk interlacing a mesh wiring into your brain and upload your consciousness and keep you in a Ready Player One state and just torture the fuck out of you. Just because these people don't want power. People, they misinterpret what the elite satanic Luciferians, they don't care about power as much as they care about torture. This is Satanism. This isn't like, oh, we just want to control you and we want all the money. No, they don't care about money. Money's just a symbol for what? For power, which enables them to do what? Torture. It's suffering and death and torture, and it's the superiority is better than the word power. They want to establish that they're superior. They're the slave masters. And so they use these technologies to keep everybody subjugated and in line and subservient to their will. Okay, we're already seeing it being unveiled where people are giving up all their information and, the outrageous selfie sexuality everywhere, all across the world, selfies and sexuality, it's everywhere. Okay, so the end result is going to be such a merging of a digital illusion, augmented reality, and what we know as just nature and what we know as just our lives, that it would be indistinguishable. You'll see holographic images all around you, everywhere you go, into the bank, on your cell phone. We're already interacting in a holographic digital field. We're touching things and pushing screens. And I'm doing a lot of it. And like my friend said, "Oh, you're a hypocrite. You're in it." I said, "Yeah, I'm in it." And that's my message, that we're in it. I'm in it. We're all indoctrinated into a Luciferian cult. And this is huge, this is a massive, dangerous thing going on. It cannot be forgotten.
You know what I noticed was that when the internet first started, there were these things called message boards, and they're really cool. I even ran one myself for years and years. People would get together under, an owner, whoever owned the site, and they would be able to kind of chat and do things pertaining to what whoever owned the site would allow. But with the smartphone technology, there's no more message boards. They exist. They're just not very popular anymore. Everybody's been forced to communicate and interact with the apps, with the Twitter, with the Instagram, with the YouTube comments and things like that. We're all being forced. The internet's no longer the Wild West. We're all being forced onto the same platforms, which they can control.
Well, it's seduction. Think of the internet and think of digital technology as a really sleek, sexy prostitute. So you meet this prostitute, and she's like sexy and alluring and seductive, and you're like, wow, everything sounds pretty good. And so you're kind of on board, I mean, if you're of that ilk to get a prostitute. And then along the way, things transpire and things unfold, and eventually, you don't even have syphilis. You have AIDS, and you're going to die. That's really what's going on. It's a sexy whore, a prostitute, that's leading into AIDS and death. And so people say, well, it's a great tool. Well, yeah, it's a great tool, but it's inherently, its properties are inherently seductive and encapsulating and ensnaring. Like people say, well, things are neutral, like alcohol is neutral. Well, not really, because it's very intoxicating, so it's not neutral. Celery may be neutral or relatively neutral. You eat celery and you're not like, oh, I've got to have more celery, and you die getting celery. But the cell phone and heroin and sex, dude, all these things they're not neutral. They're very loaded. They're very intoxicating. And so the very properties, the properties or attributes, I should say, of technology itself it's created in such a way, and it's produced in such a way, and it's pushed in such a way where the inevitability of a technocracy has to be. This is what Brave New World talked about, Aldous Huxley. It's inevitable to have a technocratic tyranny when you have technology that's powerful. People still kind of know what I mean because they've got it everywhere and they feel the sting. But when they introduce 5G into this matrix, and they already have, this is when it's like setting up imagine in your room you have like all kinds of switches, or you have all kinds of lights plugged into power switches and all kinds of devices and computers, and nothing really goes live until you like push one switch, like a master switch. Well, that's what 5G is. 5G is the master switch that makes the whole beast system, boom, it comes alive.
And 5G is coming out super fast. It's so funny because it's not really what I would call buzzword. I'm not hearing people really talk about it around the water cooler. Everybody's talking about Trump, football, whatever. But this 5G thing, it's just being slipped right under our noses. It's going to be in and set up before we even really have a chance to know that it exists.
And that's why the things that are the most nefarious and lethal are the things that get the least amount of publicity in the mainstream. They don't want you to look at the right hand while the left hand of the magician tricks you. They've always done it that way. So we're not getting much information on the mainstream media about the harms of 5G, because that's the harmful thing. We're hearing about bread and circuses. We're hearing about games and political diversions. So yeah, 5G is definitely a huge threat. I talk a lot about it in my books. These days I don't, because it's like I talk so much about it. I'm kind of just going into the cutting edge stuff that nobody is talking about, which is just purely apotheosis, becoming God. Not that we are. The Luciferians, the garden story, you want to become God, like powerful, using this cosmic fantasy, outer space. And that's really kind of what I want to start talking about more and more as I do books. That's my 8th book is called Apotheosis and the Cosmos. You going to say something, Daniel?
Yeah, just to touch on the 5G thing real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
What we have now, it's good enough for me. I can already stream Netflix from wherever I'm sitting. Why do I need faster internet? My phone is already too friggin' fast. What is even the point of that?
Well, it's not about speed. It never was. It's about digital richness. The speed is to get more broadband power, where you can basically have holographic images. Because the more seductive and beautiful and rich and sophisticated the power of cell phones and computers are, the more enticing and enchanting and hypnotic and mesmerizing and ensnaring they are. That's really what's going on. It's the ensnarement of people, not the providing the wonderful service. These are just all the carrots, getting people to go willingly into Elon Musk's. He even said, oh, yes, we summoned the demon with artificial intelligence. And then his next phrase is, so we need to merge with it. It's like we summons the demon. So we need to merge to interlacing, a neural mesh, his company, Neuralink. And the idea is that it's going to be so far dominant beyond us and superior that we need to become its pet. Instead of being destroyed, we need to become its friend, so it won't kill us. I mean, this is the talk coming at the highest level. This is how they're talking to us. And so it's this like climate change terror that small brain damaged child, Greta. The idea is that you're supposed to be so frightened and terrorized by 5G and by artificial intelligence and by aliens and climate change, and just everything, that you'll submit to anything that these elites throw at you. Problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem, you react, they offer the solution. The solution is more surveillance, more computer power, less liberty. They just keep locking you down into fear and smaller mental and physical spaces.
And some of these politicians and people like that, they are experts at exactly what you're talking about. I'm going to get the MAGA crowd all mad at me for saying this, but Donald Trump is one manipulative person. He knows, he comes off kind of like a dotard sometimes, but he's a really smart guy. He knows how to trigger people. He knows how to pull their strings. He knows how to get everybody focused in on the issues he wants them to be focused on.
Yeah, well, it's like a car salesman. That's all that's going on. There's nothing more to be said. He's just selling a car. And the car is whatever the elite script in his hand. He's just reading script, and they tell him what to do. And at that level, it's all just doing what you're told to do. Like actors. You think Tom Cruise believes everything he's saying? I mean, he looks really convincing, and he's compelling, and he's good at it. But no, it's called a movie. It's a script.
And with Tom, I think we're probably seeing a lot of these same topics come through his movies, especially things like The Minority Report, for example.
Same thing. Yeah. I mean, you don't reach the level of Tom Cruise or Scarlett Johansson or you name it. They're all reading from the same playbook of science fiction propaganda and science propaganda. They have to do what they're told. And they're handsomely rewarded. They get millions of dollars to be the actors in these films. These are not geniuses. These actors are really good at what they do, but they don't think it through. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they break through it. Like Jim Carrey. Sometimes I think that guy's on both sides of MK and mind control trauma-based crack up, and so they do come out of it. But it's just an agenda. It's Ready Player One, Minority Report, Blade Runner, everything Ridley Scott does. It's all propaganda. It's all preparing you for transhumanistic artificial intelligence, for surveillance, for aliens. The theme never changes. Every film.
And one of our favorites, Prometheus.
Yeah.
One of the biggest offenders.
I wrote a. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said one of the biggest offenders.
Yeah, well, that's the Ridley Scott, coming from the Alien franchise. And I wrote an extensive paper in my first book, The Scientism Delusion, about Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Because when I first saw those, I thought, wow, it's one thing to watch Jupiter Ascending. It's kind of like light and frothy space opera with darker occult undertones. But Prometheus and Alien Covenant are literally the Luciferian religion right in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So you're putting up an image there of David. David is the artificial intelligence creation of this man, right? And basically David and his father, who created him, have this relationship where David keeps saying how I need to destroy the maker, destroy the creator, because his creation is superior. So the message all through Alien and Prometheus is that artificial intelligence is the creation of, the God being man, and man's created a God of its own kind of God. The God is artificial intelligence, and this new God needs to kill its maker. So the message is clear. Ridley Scott has gotten the message out clearly that AI is supposed to kill men, all mankind. And so you see that in a lot of films. The same thing where was it Skynet? Remember Skynet and Terminator? It's that AI will come to life, it's dangerous, lethal, and it will take everyone out. Okay, so why would we keep advancing AI is the question. There'd be no reason to do that. Well, it's kind of like trauma-based mind control. The cognitive dissonance of teaching a world that AI is dangerous, at the same time developing AI technology, and then saying that it's innocuous and harmless. I mean, there's a huge cognitive dissonance. So you're looking at more very subtle psychological mind manipulation by rubbing movie scenes together with real reality. It's very sophisticated stuff. You see how very subtle this is?
Yeah, and one thing that I should note about the Luciferian religion, these people, they will go after you. If they think that you're some kind of threat, if you get close to their creepy little pedo rings and stuff like that, they will go after you. And it has happened. It's been documented. Recently, the popular researcher Tracy Twyman was murdered, probably by these people. A big stink surrounding that whole thing. I've done my best to kind of stay away from it, but this is reality. And if you look into it deep enough, you will see it stare back at you.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's not like people who are insulated from it don't understand. I'm not going to give any names out, but I've received emails in private from really big people that have developed huge, massive websites worldwide on, looking at the climate and looking at pedo rings and mind control. I just received a book today. Again, can't mention any names. A book from somebody. She wrote a book about her experiences in being a sex slave and pedo. Mind control, damage, ritual abuse. I've repeatedly received emails from people, real people, and some big people, kind of confiding to me after they ran across my book. They said, I found your book, and you just kind of opened my eyes to the other parts of it. I didn't know why this was happening, and so people are writing their own books based on some of the books I've been writing. And yeah, it's definitely getting to the point where I just joke with you on our first or second interview. Well, there's a bullet with our name on it, and yeah, probably you get to a point where you're gonna live on your knees or die on your feet. It's that simple.
Yeah, and the pedo stuff especially, it is being pushed on us all so hard. I think I think anybody could see it. All you have to do is, get on the Netflix, wherever things are happening, wherever people are watching stuff, and you're going to see it. You're going to see this imagery. Recently there's been this kid that's been in the media a lot. I think his name's Pride Kid. And they're really using him kind of as this propaganda piece. And there's been things happening. Alex Jones went off about it. He's dancing around, and he's dancing around for grown men. They're watching this like little boy that's transgender. They're getting people to look at children in a sexual way and acting like it's okay.
Yeah, that's a really big story. I've run across that many times. He's like, "Where's lipstick?" He just recently did he's the commercials. He's being sponsored by Converse shoes, and I forgot what it's called. It's like something. It's a new rollout of a certain. It's kind of like I can't remember, but anyway, it's like very effeminate, rainbow-colored shoes, and he's like poster boy. He's sitting there with Converse shoes, and so again, it's nothing new. This is how ancient Egypt and Greece. This was every day. It was pedophilia and slave abuse and ritualistic abuse and child sacrifice. We've all in school. You even learn about the Mayans, Aztecians, and sacrificing on altars, ripping the heart out. The Apocalypto by Mel Gibson illustrates that quite graphically. This was nothing new. It's been going on for a long, long time. It's just that it got kind of covered for a few hundred years, and now it's being unveiled again. And that's why my last book was called The Gnostic Luciferian New Age, Babylon Revisited. It's really one of my favorite books that I've ever even tried to do. It's so rich with just about everything I wanted to say about the New Age and where things are going. And we can talk about where things were and what things are, but can we be prophetic? Can we show and tell where things are actually going? I mean, clearly, not just like, oh, we could be this, but really, can we? And I think we can. And that's why I'm writing all these books. And the Gnostic Luciferian New Age, Babylon Revisited, talks in depth about the New Age and how it's Babylon revisited. It's on the front of my book. It's Katy Perry with like, she just looks like the Babylon whore that she is. And so it's reviving Babylon, ancient Babylon, which is sodomy, pederasty, pedophilia, genocide, if they can get away with it, drugs, mesmerism, occultism. We even see it in the 60s, drugs and transcendental meditation, drugs as much as possible. It's just a mesmeric revival of Babylon. And I kind of went into it and went through it. So I know it from experience. I just don't read about this stuff. I know where it leads.
Katy Perry, she's, again, one of the worst offenders along with Miley Virus. Katy Perry always seems to be the center of these weird... Yeah, Katy Perry does the alien stuff.
Smiley Virus.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Miley, I mean, as far as the pedo stuff, again, one of the worst offenders, bringing Pedo Bear on stage. She looks underage, and she does these sexual things.
That's nothing. She did there's one called Baby or something. It's where she's dressed like a baby with a bottle. It's a baby rape pedophilia video.
Yeah, that guy from Jackass, Steve-O, he had a tattoo of a grown man having sex with a baby, and he had to cover it up with an ostrich. And it's all documented. Anybody can go on Google Images and look it up right now. But he did have a pedophilic image tattooed on his body, a celebrity. So some people think there's more to that. Go ahead.
But you see, I don't even think there's any reason to even talk about it. It's been talked about in when it's reached mainstream. Like, there's no reason for alternative media to even talk about it anymore. It's already mainstream. Everyone knows pedophilia is everywhere.
Yeah, they might want us to actually talk about it because it's another one of their ways of normalizing it and getting people comfortable with it.
Exactly. That's why I don't even talk about it that much. It's a way of it's called levels it's called lesser magic. When you study magic with a K, lesser magic is when you introduce the idea and it's suggestible psychological mind manipulation. If you talk about things long enough, they become a reality. There's a movie called Tomorrowland based on the same principles. Watch Tomorrowland with Clooney. Is the idea that you keep suggesting a reality, even though you keep saying you don't want it, but you keep talking about it, like through movies or media or us. It actually, you're bringing into existence. It's called lesser magic. So yeah, you talk about anything enough and it becomes a reality.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it seems like, as you mentioned, they're doing this kind of all across the board. I'll even see like, a topic come up. Next thing you know, it's in our TV shows, it's in our movies. It's actually gain wings and become a thing. It's so easy to make something a thing now, or make it a meme, or get it to catch on with the collective unconscious in the world of social media and stuff like that. You can really put things out there that have have a big effect on reality. I think you and I have done it to an extent. We've affected the reality around us to a degree. I mean, we haven't put any dent in this whole Illuminati thing, of course, but I think that
I think we have. It's not as small as people think, because when you and I first started talking about a year or 2 years ago, or whatever it was, Scientism Delusion came out. And people said, "Wow, this is kind of groundbreaking. It's like a game changer because it rips the veil off of the entire game, science, which is at the core, and subdivides epistemologically between science and scientism. What's called fantasy versus what's empirically proven. Okay, but if you do that enough, and you and I have been doing quite a bit of it together, and there's videos out there, and I have that book, the reverberations, the waves go and go, and some of the stuff is crashing on other shores. I've had people talk to me from Australia, China, England, Japan, the Netherlands, France, all over the world about the ideas that you and I talked about, like in videos, on podcasts. So it's definitely the shock wave is out there from this kind of material.
Yeah, same thing on my end. You're probably the most requested guest on the show. Still, you've been on quite a few times, but I still get people, have Greg on again, have Greg on again. Okay, guys, you win. We'll keep having him on like every other week. Let's do it.
Well, yeah, we definitely could go on a lot more because there's so many things that we should be talking about eventually that aren't just the rehashing of the stuff that we have talked about and that everyone talks about. There's so much material in my books that we don't really have to, in some ways, we don't have to keep repeating ourselves. We can keep introducing new levels of insight that people, don't even look at. Because I'm kind of getting weary of everything being rehashed by everyone all the time. It's like, it's a form of stupidity for everything to be repeated so much.
Yeah, that's a problem I've had in this like paranormal sort of podcasting radio world. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing. It's the same old aliens, probes, implants. I'm sorry, I'm not into aliens anymore. I just kind of roll my eyes. It's the same stuff.
Just drop it, man. I mean, there's no reason. Well, I think, okay, let's just take it into this place. Aliens, the idea, again, is to create this cognitive or this narrative that there's aliens. We're supposed to be evolved and use the secret celestial knowledge that we gain from space flight to eventually ride what I call, or what's not just me, but what's called the eschaton. Have you ever heard of the eschaton?
I've heard that word, but you might have to describe it a little bit.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is take our conversation into like quasi new areas so we can kind of refresh things for people instead of, they've heard so much of what I've talked about, what you talked about, like they've heard it all before. Okay, so the eschaton is like the post-historic era of God's overt apocalyptic reign. It's immediately preceding the end of the world. It's like in this cosmic evolutionary process, we're supposed to participate in the immethodization of the eschaton, to immunize, I think it's called immenitize. It's a hard word. Immenitize, I think, the eschaton. We're supposed to bring in like the end times. It's a religious idea where we make that which everything belongs to the afterlife happens here and now, to bring it down to earth. It's a satanic idea because it denies any real afterlife, like the kind promised by God, in preference for a counterfeit afterlife, which includes bringing all forces, powers, and demonic and ungodly down into the physical realm. And we see this in Marvel films and space films, through interdimensional portholes and wormholes and stargates. Remember that movie Stargate?
Mm-hmm.
And they bring these powers down to the earth, and that's the bringing on the eschaton. It brings into the end days, the apocalyptic times. And this is what the Luciferians are trying to do with the space narrative. They're trying to accelerate the eschaton, the end of times, where there's a huge kind of like final battle between alien forces and intelligences and man. It's like the final stages of history and a galactic battle, really, between all things. And you look at Star Wars, and what is that all about? The rebel forces, the Empire. It's about a galactic battle. Okay, so this is really what the whole outer space narrative was created for, is to pave the way for a kind of counterfeit celestial religion. It's essentially, you're creating space as a way of counterfeiting real religion and real spirituality. So we live in this galactic fantasy. And once our minds are in that fantasy, they can kind of like control the narrative. Like, oh, well, thousands of light years, you can't argue because you don't have a telescope big enough. Or we just saw moons around Jupiter and you can't argue because you don't have a telescope big enough. Or we just landed on Mars and you can't argue because, we did. They just say things. Okay, so eventually they'll control the full narrative and no one will have any say into what's real and not real.
Yeah, this goes back to the whole idea that the goalposts are being moved. We can't see what's outside of the box, so we're forced to accept what men in lab coats and cloaks and things of that nature are wearing. And these elite people, they always come up with these philosophies like everybody's got to be free or we've got to be equal, but yet they always seem to stand on our shoulders. They always seem to maintain this idea that they can tell us what's what and what we can and cannot believe, even though they're always pushing these philosophies like we should be free. They're complete hypocrites.
Yeah, you see how it all kind of cycles back to this complete elimination of Christianity in the Bible? Because in this way, look, in outer space, it becomes a logical extension of the New Age. And so this is why you see so much New Age and outer space iconography mixed and merged. It's an emphasis on cosmic consciousness. That comes out of the New Age movement in the 60s, and I encountered it at UCSC, the idea of cosmic consciousness, ascending consciousness, ascending masters. And it all dovetails together and finds a nexus point. If one digs deeper, it's all fabricated nonsense, and it's all shoved down your throat by Hollywood and NASA to indoctrinate you into an outer space Luciferian cult.
Yeah, it's ascended masters. Yeah. This is a perfect way to kind of describe this. So Madame Blavatsky, all of her crap, all of her books and everything, she would always tell everybody that her knowledge came from these masters over in Tibet, these very wise, were they men, spirits, I don't even know, but her whole thing was she got everybody to believe her by creating this authority that gave her credit. But this authority, it might have never even been real, and we don't know, yet people worship her works.
Yeah, that's where the ascended masters, the lineage of ascended masters, they just create this whole, and it could be true. I mean, there could be, demonic, interdimensional, like people that take DMT, and you're tapping into some really high up interdimensional portals. It doesn't mean that there's anything good or divine or nothing like that. It's just like demonic, labyrinthian occultism. So yeah, Blavatsky could have been deeply in touch with interdimensional quantum demonic forces. Who knows? The point is, there's nothing good about it. it just leads to mesmerism and slavery. That's the whole point of the occult, is never-ending bottomless abyss of labyrinthian complexity. And I've been through it. You can tell the way I think. I know all about it. You get to a point where there is no way out. And that is the point. The point is to get you spinning in this labyrinth of trying to get more secret knowledge. That's forever trying, and you never get anything. You never get anywhere.
Yeah, the secret knowledge is definitely a huge con. I do think that there's certainly wisdom and skills that you can gain from reading, but you're never going to find that code. As we've talked about before, whatever you find out, you're still going to die at a relative age of around 80 to 100. You're still going to get the cancers and all of that. It doesn't matter what sort of gobbledygook magical powers you gain, or it's just not going to happen.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, the idea of I wrote extensively in one of my books about the farce of reincarnation. The folly, the idea that you get all these lies, you keep working it out. Life after life. It's the Hindu occult system, and then it was adopted by Western culture in terms of kind of like New Age, syncretic religion, adopting Buddhism with Hinduism, with Zoroastrianism, with you name it. And it's basically just a repackaging of the ancient lie that you live forever on Earth. Just keep reincarnating. And so this is the same thing as the space myth. You just keep going out and ascending, and through technologies and nanosynthetic biology and artificial intelligence, you upload your consciousness into a new avatar, and then you live again. And this is essentially, they want to become eternal without the idea of God or Christ. That's really all that's happening. Now, I'm not trying to push anybody anywhere towards Christianity, or I'm not trying to push anyone towards Luciferianism, but I'm not trying to say somebody has to become something. But I do know that everything is against Christianity and this idea of eternal life through just a gift, where you don't have to earn it, and you can't really. You try all you want, you can't. So whatever that means, people have to interpret that for themselves. I offer that to people as my understanding of what's going on. Whether they should follow down a path or not, that's up to them. But the battle is between eternal life through secret knowledge, the apple in the garden, or that's Lucifer's gift or promise, or eternal life through the sacrifice of Christ. So you kind of have this, at some point, you have to choose which you think is more real.
The way that our society is now, with smartphones, blah blah blah, you know, music, our scientism, that whole thing, we pretty much, as a society, we've become Luciferian. We have those ideas in all of us, even though we don't go around saying "Hell Satan" or "God bless Lucifer Morningstar" or anything like that. We have those concepts inside of us at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of why I always say we've been indoctrinated into a Luciferian cult without knowing it, and against our better judgment. And the thing that I keep going back to is the space metaphor, because that's really all it is. Outer space is a metaphor for the Luciferian religion. There's no outer space. It's a sci-fi fantasy, and so they just want you to think you're traveling through the cosmos and that they can. And then they have their demigods in the cosmos. You got Saturn and Mars and Earth and Venus and the Apollo mission. I mean, all these are demigods from pagan, satanic Greek mythology and Greek and Roman yore. So what's going on? Well, they're kind of resuscitating ancient pagan Satanism and calling it spaceflight, and naming all the planets after ancient pagan satanic demigods. And it's pretty clear what's going on. It's a celestial realm called space, but it's a metaphor for the religion. And I can't emphasize that enough. That's what's going on. They've created a counterfeit religion called outer space.
Greg, I do apologize if I asked you this before, but did you have that aha flat Earth moment where you started to question? I mean, I could say for me, it was a certain plane flight that I took where I just kind of looked out the window and I saw how flat everything looked, and it kind of made me think, like, even before I saw the flat Earth stuff. Did you have any moments like that?
That's a weird one. It's like you're just stumbling across a video one day, and it's like, oh, okay. At 8, you're just listening to the master. A guy's talking at 1 mile. There's basically miles times mile squared times 8-inch drop. And you're kind of like watching a video, and okay, there's some boat. I think what turned me on is I watched one of these videos for thousands. Now there's like millions. I mean, after Eric today, and there's it's just the internet is saturated. Of course, you can't find them because Google's made the algorithm where everything's anti-flat Earth, anti-flat Earth, anti-flat. But yeah, I saw a video where they were showing a ship in the distance, and it went over the horizon. They're like, oh, it's curved Earth. And then a guy took his telescope and he brought it back into clear focus. And I go, whoa, okay. It made me kind of think for a second. And then people would say things like, oh, there's a mirage and refraction of the atmosphere. So I said, okay. So I wrote extensively in one of my books, the first Flat Earth book, about mirages, super mirages, vanishing point perspective, compression, refraction, reflection, atmospheric density, atmospheric layer. I mean, I talked about everything that's optics and illusions. And after I wrote that, I like 200 pages of studying the science of optics, and I realized that's when I had a big kind of like aha after my own research. I said, whoa, these things that we're seeing, they're not mirages. We're not watching whole like Manhattan, or we're not watching cities float from mirage or refraction. They are actually visible because there is no curvature. And that's when I started to think, okay, does that mean there's flat? No, it doesn't. What it means, empirically, it means that there's no curvature. After that, you have to kind of go into hypothesis land. See, this is the thing. If you have data that shows that the Earth is curved, you can make assumptions that the Earth is curved from your data. You can't assume it's spherical. You see, the data doesn't show spherical, it just shows curved. Okay, spherical is a lot more data, and you can keep measuring around and try to like combine all your data and frames of reference to establish a model where it's spherical. It's really still something you could never do. Okay, same with flat Earth. You cannot absolutely assert that it's flat. But you can keep collecting data that shows that water is never curved. You can show that there's no visible and measurable curvature. You can show that in every way there is no curvature to be found. We don't know what that means. Is it a torus? Is it a donut? Is it ever curved? I don't know. My estimation from all this, and of course my books talk at length about everything from Polaris to rocketry and space, how that's impossible. I go into all of it, where I pretty much assert the idea that we have a flat plane and we have a kind of quasi-vitreous shell above us of water. You know, it sounds like the Bible, but that's kind of what it turns into. You have sonoluminescence. If you study sonoluminescence, you put argon, a little droplet of argon into a jar of water, and you activate it with sound. It illuminates often at 22,000 Kelvin. It's like as bright as a star and even hotter than the sun. Okay, that's something the grain of a sand. I've seen that. Okay, so we're looking at, and that happens in water. The stars, this is on Earth. You put argon gas in a jar in water. Okay, so I'm looking at the stars. They have the exact same signature as these sonoluminescent experiments at Harvard and Duke and Yale University. It's identical. So I think we're looking at sonoluminescence when we look at stars. And this happens in water. Okay, so what are we looking at? We're looking at water. When you look it up, you're looking at that blue isn't just nitrogen. You're looking at water above the firmament. Okay, so then you get back to this biblical thing. You have the divide the waters, the earth, the waters below and the waters above, and a firmament in between. It all starts to kind of like come together. And I try not to use the Bible ever to prove flat Earth, except by saying the Bible's true because the Bible says it's true. I don't want to get trapped in that loop. I just say things like, well, it is actually, it makes sense that scientifically that we have sonoluminescent vibration, electromagnetic vibration causing stars, and that happens in water. And then we have a flat plane where there's no curvature that I can find. And then we do have water that's called the ocean. And so you put it all together and you've got this model that's been talked about by every single culture for over 2,000 years. The Mayans, the Incas, the Greeks, everyone talked about this. So, and then you have the 500 years ago, you have the Jesuits changing the game with heliocentric, what I call mathematics. They just use math to create a model that they could never prove. Okay, so it's just a matter of summation of data points. The plausibility of a flat domain with a dome is highly plausible given all the data. It doesn't mean anything's absolutely 100% true. It just means that the model of heliocentrism, it finds little or no proof, and the model of flat Earth finds, literally thousands and thousands of extremely convincing empirical data points. So you lay that before somebody, and you say, okay, well, you figure that out. That's what I'm doing. I'm writing books to lay it out. And my books are rich and dense with proofs and empirical observations for people to look at, and they make the decision. I mean, I do a lot of really deep stuff into like Polaris and the stars and rocketry, and I really show how there has been no spaceflight, period. Rockets don't work in vacuum, but I show scientifically it doesn't work. Okay, so Daniel, it's a long-winded way of answering your question, but my answer is there's no curvature.
No, that's perfect. That's kind of what I was looking for, was that, that aha moment, but from you, because I think everybody, it might be a little bit different. And you're totally right. Like, I don't know exactly what's going on up there. I just have a strong inkling that it isn't like they say, and the spacewalks and the CGI videos and pictures and stuff like that. It's just not real. And I'm not going to go as far as to say that there's no space, because I don't really know exactly what's going on up there. But I think it's pretty safe to say that what we've been told about NASA, rockets, et cetera, is 100% bullshit.
Yeah, I'm open to the idea of outer space. Nothing's convincing me of it so far. What I do see is I see the pinpoints of light that are probably not spherical at all. I don't think planets are spherical. The raw telescope data coming out of just amateur telescopes shows kind of like shimmering sonoluminescent flickers, or electromagnetic in nature. It looks exactly like roughly that the same way on Earth. Nothing looks like NASA's portraying it. The sun is obviously extremely local. The crepuscular rays reveal that it's local in the pyramid structure arc that it makes when it's right above the clouds. But you can see a sunspot on the clouds. If you're up high enough in the sun, that only happens when the sun is local. There's a lot of proofs that show the sun's local. I know in my new book, Flat Earth 3, I talk about it a lot, how the sun can't be that far away. And so it is virtually the same size as the moon. I mean, you add it up, you're looking at a kind of like an enclosed cosmological habitat created for man. Now we're getting to the reason why was this whole delusion perpetuated. Well, to rob man of his special central nature in the context of a god. And that's really what this is about, is to eliminate or factor God out of the equation, and so that there's only just, and of course, everyone said this by now, right? You know, you're a speck on a speck, an infinite domain of meaningless, chaotic, random space, and so what's the point? And it's nihilism, and that's pretty much what they want. They want to create nihilism. That's what outer space is about: black holes and death and vacuums, infinite void of vacuum. It's nihilism. It's destruction and black and void and death.
And that's the character of Thanos from the Avengers movies. Thanos is basically the ultimate nihilist.
Right. He's representing kind of what the religion of the Luciferian and the Hermetic tradition is to arrive at the apotheosis through outer space is to reach a point where everything spills over into like Thor, The Dark World, that movie by Marvel called Thor, The Dark World.
Yes.
It's where infinite darkness takes over. This is where comic books are actually giving you the truth. That's why I watch Marvel, because Marvel pretty much, they never lie. They're telling you exactly what the Luciferians think. And they want darkness to overtake the universe, and their new age will come from the balancing of the forces of darkness and light. But they're really more involved in darkness than light. If you really listen to their subtext, they're kind of pushing for darkness, like Sabbatai Levy of the 1666, that book where he wanted to increase sin to balance out the world. Or Star Wars, same thing. Star Wars is introducing more and more darkness into their characters to balance out the Force. Because the goal is not to have the Jedi win, the goal is to balance the Force. And balance requires more evil and more darkness. And so they're introducing more darkness into Rey, this character. And so this is what you're seeing, the occult religion in movies and in our world. They're increasing sin and darkness and violence to balance things out until it all is destroyed, just like Thanos, right? Destroy everything, and you'll have balance. So this is why you have Agenda 21, United Nations, kill 7 billion people to establish balance, to make the Georgia Guidestone.
Yeah, somehow there's been this link created between this nihilistic way of thinking, you know, everything kind of sucks, it's very pessimistic, and intelligence. Like if you come off like a nihilist, you get labeled as smart, even though you really just kind of have a bad attitude. Whereas if you say you believe in God or something like that, you're considered to be a complete dolt and totally backwards.
Yeah, I have a friend that's kind of nihilistic, and I get nihilistic, and who doesn't? Because this world kind of like brings it out of you.
Yeah.
But the thing about nihilism in its purest form, in the Friedrich Nietzsche application, is that it becomes kind of like an ignorance. You know, I'm not trying to offend anyone that's deep into the religion of nihilism, because it's a religion. It's based on not having certain data. Because if you really have been traumatized by the system, so you have no hope in anything, that means that you only believe in yourself. You understand, Daniel? That's what nihilism is orbiting, the idea of just yourself. If you just, the Luciferians bring you into nihilism by having you focus on just yourself. And if things are not going well, then you just want to die, and you want everything else to die. You become Thanos.
Yeah, that's kind of the Nietzsche will to power. The only thing that matters is surviving and overcoming others and being dominant. That's kind of the idea.
That's exactly it, the will to power, which is what Hitler was pretty into, the will to power, and a lot of people got in. Even Aleister Crowley read Nietzsche, and the idea of will. And what does Crowley what was this? Do without will.
Yeah.
And under the will of love or something. I mean, the will, the idea of will, like my will, and we all know that part. We all have that dark side where it's just my will. I mean, it's there in everything we do. But there's also another part of us that's subservient to something that's what people would call spiritual. And so if you're studying Luciferian or you're in Luciferian culture, then you're subservient to Lucifer. You don't know it yet. You just are. And that's why you become nihilistic, because you're actually serving. I want to put it comic book. I want to take off the gloves for a second, because it's fun to just like put it in a comic book context. Everyone is serving the Dark Lord. Everyone in the world is. I'm just going to put it in a model movie way. We're all serving the Dark Lord, and we don't know it. Some of us do, some of us don't. Some of us want to, some of us don't want to, and some of us are not sure on the sense. But it only leads to self-immolation, self-destruction, nihilism, and death, and that's what they want you to be. The only way out that I know is to like an antenna. You have to tune in to something that's not, the Dark Lord. And I think, from my understanding, it's not the Eastern mystical tradition that leads to extreme darkness and occultism eventually. And it comes as an angel of light. Eastern mysticism comes as an angel of light, like Lucifer. It promises wonderful immortality knowledge, but it will destroy you. And I know personal experience. I've seen people, die from it. I think the idea of Christianity is that counterforce, or that counterpoise in the fight, and that's why you never hear about like Christianity winning in a Marvel film.
Oh, ever. Yeah. If anything Christian is the suppressor, bullshit, or indigenous people getting killed.
Idiot. Like, how could you believe that something died for your sins? And the same people that believe in ghosts and the resurrection of the dead, they'll laugh at you if you say Christ was resurrected. Like, oh, are you an idiot? But then they'll talk about the resurrection of dead people and ghosts and poltergeists.
Yeah, I see that everywhere, and it frustrates me because, everything's okay. Like the foo-foo aliens with their butt probes and everything, it's okay to believe in that, or reincarnation, or spiritualism, or mysticism. Anything pretty much goes, except if you believe in God. All of a sudden, you're dumb, and you're conforming, and you're et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you're just kind of like just an idiot. And I think one of the reasons, I guess, the part of me that's just kind of like ego, a long time ago decided that I'm going to like settle the score on this whole Christian thing, because there's really not too many people that can look me in the face and say, you're an idiot. Especially if they read, like, after my 6th book, pretty dense, thick stuff with quantum physics and AI and intricate empirical models. To say that you're an idiot, you really have to like stretch that proof out. I'd like to read that one. And so when I start saying things that lead to the conclusion that there's a salvation through this sacrifice of Christ, oh well, you don't know anything about it. It's not even Jesus, it's Yahweh. And they get into the kind of Christian pseudo legalistics of things. And so you can say, well, fine, you can go down that road too, but ultimately you're looking at a Luciferian darkness versus Christianity. That's all you have to know. You don't have to know the intricacies of how the stars work in a flat Earth cosmological model, or exactly how do the tides work if the moon's at this angle. You don't have to know any of that. It's irrelevant. It's just like more secret knowledge to spin your wheels.
Greg, how about the idea that elements of Christianity itself have been kind of hijacked by this Luciferian force? One example being Jesus saying, give the Romans your money because it's got a picture of Caesar on it. Give unto Caesar what belongs to him, however it goes. Do you think there could be some heavy Luciferian manipulation in Christianity itself?
I think so, and a lot of it came from the hijacking and infiltration of Christianity by Jesuits long ago. That was their job, as given by the Pope. They said, look, we're losing congregates, get them back, so you go and you do whatever it takes to get those, straying. Martin Luther infected people because they put the 99 Theses on the door, and the apostates, the people left the church. So they infiltrated religions, the Protestant churches. They infiltrated government, schools, businesses. The Jesuits pretty much designed our educational system. It's all infected Christianity now. Everything is basically infected and infiltrated, perverted. And that's why when I was a kid, I first heard given to Caesar. My first instinct, my feeling, not my interpretation in terms of thinking, my feeling was, oh yeah, you want to make sure you give up money to Caesar so that you don't get hurt. And I think that's actually what Christ meant, as far as I know. It's like, yeah, give unto Caesar. So you're in a world that's satanic. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar. Well, like the other part, I don't know if Christ said that in the Bible or not. The other part is, or Caesar will kill you. See, it doesn't mean you owe Caesar because he's some wonderful person. I don't think Christ ever suggested that. In the larger context of all this talking, you could never extract that meaning, ever. The fact that people would believe that is a complete perversion and contamination of Christian sentiment, I could say. And that's what the Jesuits are masters of. No one has the full context of anything, little sound bites. And so it's easy to kind of lead people into thinking that Christianity is a poison. You just lie about everything. And I don't want to go too much into this because I've written like hundreds of pages about how Christianity was infiltrated by various forces to be positioned as if it was the enemy, but it never was. People will say, oh, Christians, they're killers, they kill. I go, can you find me in the Ten Commandments where killing is authorized? And they, yeah, would they do it? I go, yeah, but they're not Christians. If they're killing, thou shalt not kill, pretty darn clear. And so they'll say things like, well, I go, well, what? They'll just kind of back out. There's really there's no evidence or even sensible.
Well, let me throw this one at you, Greg. This one at you. What do you think of the idea of Christians getting together and preparing together for this worldwide clampdown that we're kind of seeing? What do you think of that? Is that foolish? Is there no point? Should we be prepping and getting together and doing these things? I've been spending a lot of time in the woods personally.
Getting together for the worldwide slaughter of Christians, you think?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I'm all for that. Sounds like a lot of fun. I'll be there. Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know. I throw my arms up a lot. I go back and forth between. I'm not convinced yet that because they're bringing in this eschaton that talk about the immanentization of the eschaton, the end times. They're bringing it in artificially. I'm not convinced there's a way out. I don't see it. Like they're going to get it. It's even prophetic. The Bible even talks about that there will be an end time. And plus, the name of your show is End of Days. So that right there is the proof. Yeah,
exactly. I've got pressure on me to make sure that this whole thing happens.
Yeah, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. Since you named your show End of Days, well, it's going to happen. There's just no backing out now.
Well, you know what it is? What it is for me, Greg? Yeah. I see, like I said, I've been spending a lot of time in nature, and I see what's going on. Like, I see the direct impact that us greedy, selfish, satanic humans are having on our own home. We're destroying it like day by day. You can really see day by day damage that we're doing, and people just trot along completely unaware. They just don't care.
That too. Well, you can see how people stop caring because it's like, what are you going to do? I talked to a girl today who's trying to save some animals, stop the housing development. It was really cool talking to her too. We talked for a while, and I kind of threw a few nihilistic ideas. I said, well, but I mean, we're just kind of like trying to keep the wolves at bay because eventually the corporation's going to win. They're going to get their way. So yeah, we're just trying to keep. Maybe we can redirect the animals. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just tired, but I just don't see. I see it just like World War I, World War II. We're going to have World War III. There's terrorism. There's weaponized weather, geoengineering, where they're destroying the environment with HARP technologies and cloud seeding. And we're not doing it. It's like we're just not doing it. They're doing it on purpose, and you can't stop them because they have all the technology, all the power, all the time in the world to intentionally destroy the earth to make it seem like this is the climate. Global climate hoax, seem it like you, or make it seem as if you are doing it, and you're not, and so they can blame you and then use Agenda 21 to trap you into a little super city. And there's just so many ways where they win. So my books are full of hope in some ways, but I'm also kind of going, maybe I'm more Christian than I think. I'm kind of like, I don't think you're going to get out of this. I think you just have to like seek God, and it's not going to be on Earth right now. Like, you're not going to make it on Earth.
Yeah, I have to wonder, maybe it's not as bad as we think, because, for example, the Wells, they travel to the North Pole or somewhere around there at least once a year. Can we be completely sure they're not just kind of like going off somewhere, like the Earth is flat, they're just kind of going off somewhere and then coming back? Can we really say where they're going?
So there's an idea that there's lots more. There's concentric ice walls. The first Antarctica is the first concentric ice wall, and it just expands out to more concentric ice walls. And if you go out thousands of miles, it could go out millions of miles. Nobody knows. For all we know, the elite know what's going on beyond the ice walls, and they're just going to completely destroy the middle here. They don't care. They're, bombs, famine, they just don't, it doesn't matter. They don't even want it. They're just going to, like, they've already got bases beyond, who's the guy, Admiral Byrd, said that there was land bigger than America beyond a certain part of Antarctica. I mean, lush, plush, oil, uranium, green hills. I mean, what's that all about? So I'm not convinced they even are going to try to let this survive. I know I'm sounding super nihilistic tonight, but I vacillate between the only hope. The hope I'm getting is more a techno-spiritual salvation, or salvation from that. I'm saying that the hope is in God, not the world. That's kind of like my culminating message in all the books. Is that you can't really, like, living forever on Earth or all that. That's just the Luciferian dream. It's really about transcending all that through this moral, kind of a moral conduit of Christian faith. And yeah, call me dumb, but the alternative is what we're seeing now, and it's just Luciferian intoxication.
Yeah, I'm real big on that whole idea. We're not gonna band together and do anything physical or anything like that. There's no way that we could win. These people going out and protesting in the streets and things like that, it's really a big waste of your time. It's really a mental, spiritual battle.
Yeah, spinning your wheels. It's like, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, that whole thing, against the rulers of darkness in this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
How can you live in this world and live inside of this Luciferian matrix and not be corrupted by it? I think that's the key question.
I'm fully corrupted. I have some friends who are like, oh, so you, like, you're a hypocrite because you're corrupt, but you're saying these things are corrupt. I said, yeah, I'm saying that we're all corrupt. I don't know many people as corrupt as me. I'm pretty damn corrupt. But I redeem myself, I guess, in trying to undo it somewhat by helping the rest of the world, to find what I think is the truth. Like, everyone's got their path of redemption. My path is to write book after book after book and cover every angle to educate people to get out of their trap. And I think the way out is through this, God. I just think it's that simple and that easy too.
Yeah, with you, Greg, it's not like you're not requiring people to believe in a whole bunch of mystical mumbo jumbo. You basically just believe that there's a creator, right?
That's it. You don't have to. In fact, the mystical mumbo jumbo is the secret knowledge that will ensure you. Your best bet is to, like I do, I learn about it. It's like, I want to know my enemy. If you're a general and you go on the battlefield without knowing your enemy, you're going to get killed, and so will your soldiers. So it's like, if I have soldiers in my ranks, I want to make sure they know the enemy too. I'm telling everybody the nature of the enemy, what the enemy is. And then, so maybe instilling a little fear of the enemy so that they recoil from the enemy and cleave to that which is what I think is godly. So I'm not saying I have the complete answer, but I'm pointing the direction.
And I think with most people, if you really flat out ask them to give you an honest answer and ask them, was there some kind of creator? I think actually most people would probably say yes. It's just that they've been battered over the head so much they're embarrassed to admit it or embrace that whole idea in any way.
Well, again, it goes back to this mind control. You get everyone to, it's like the kids in 7th grade where they call each other stupid. Oh, you're stupid because you believe in whatever, right? So that's really all that's going on. And that's, again, one of the reasons I decided to, really know my topics. And now I'm approaching over 1 million words of unfolding all of this, from transhumanism to AI, to flat Earth, to Luciferianism, to atheism. And putting it all together, it's a pretty huge project. It's basically encyclopedic understanding of the whole conspiracy of reality. And so, and part of that is where no one can say, well, you're just some stupid idiot. It's just not going to happen. And so it gives me bravery, I guess, in a way to say, and by the way, it's all about God, period. And if you can support a proof, or if you can justify something that's going to take that position down, by all means, give it your best shot. I've got a book of atheism that's based on every atheistic argument that takes atheism down. I have books on taking down Luciferian New Age and what it is, on the deconstruction of the heliocentric theory and gravity and evolutionary. I mean, I've just pretty much looked at it all. So, in the
Greg, that's key with you, because I just want to reiterate, you are not the type of guy that gets intimidated by an atheist or somebody like that trying to debate him. You'll go in there, you'll match them blow for blow, and you'll do quite well. I think a lot of people out there probably don't realize how well you do in these debates.
Well, that's one person wrote me once and said, "Well, I like your approach. Someone who goes full throttle at you, like a top astrophysicist or whoever, and your response is to go even deeper into research." And that's what I do. That's why our books are so rich and dense and completely well thought out. It's because I have the kind of ego where as far as I'm concerned, it's not my battle. It's God's. Like, I'm basically kind of surrendering to, it sounds kind of mystical, but I've always done this. I'm surrendering to something that's not me. And so if you want to say I'm winning arguments, you could just say that there's a spiritual force that's winning, and I'm just kind of like along for the ride.
Truth is truth.
That's right. And truth is, like I said once, it'll vanquish the darkness. It's very, very, well, that metaphor? You got a vial of water, you put a drop of ink, and the whole thing becomes black. So it's like, wow, that's pretty powerful. But you go into a room, and you got a dark room of evil darkness, just all dark, and you light a little tiny candle. Well, it illuminates a huge part of the room. So it's like, truth is just a candle, like just a candle of truth can dispel amazing amounts of evil and darkness. And we're not shining candles on the show. We have like 1,000 lumen lights going on.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is, and this is why these topics are so powerful, because it really just takes one person to kind of go against the grain and say, hey, wait, guys, actually the Christians and the creationists, they don't lose all the arguments, because in reality they don't. It's just that perception has been created. If you even try to argue atheism, if you even try to argue any of that stuff, you're going to get blown out of the water. You'll look totally stupid. Science, blah, 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 supports atheism, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not really true. This freaking debate has been going on for thousands of years. Nobody's gonna win it or lose it all at once. That's not how it works.
Yeah, it's not like I have one proof. That's why my book Atheism Refuted has hundreds and hundreds of data points. I pretty much I literally.
Hello, caller.
What?
Greg, do you mind taking a call from your buddy Todd?
Oh yeah, by all means.
Go ahead.
Greg, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm so good. I was just sitting there listening to you.
A little fuzzy. Are you speaking into a Bluetooth, or what are you using?
I'm talking through my Bluetooth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, that's a little better.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little like you're in a tunnel, but maybe Daniel can interpret.
I got the flu, Greg. So pardon me.
Okay. Well, it is kind of tough. So say something, and Daniel can probably interpret for you, and I can answer.
Daniel, tell Greg I got the flu.
Todd has the flu, so he's a little congested.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's just hard to hear. So.
Anyways, you got me, fired up, Greg. You're talking. You're challenging us atheists, us people of a different ideology. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You have a question
Okay,
there?
good. So, Greg, does it all come back to Jesus all the time?
I knew that's where this was going.
I had a question.
No, well,
I'm getting that deja vu feeling. I'm not sure why.
yeah, we've been here before. Okay, Luke, can I answer this?
Greg, are your parents Christians?
Let me answer it this way. I don't spend my here. Let me answer it because I'll have to just answer this because you're coming in kind of fuzzy. It's not all about, for me, it's not all about bringing everything back to like the Bible thumping or let's talk about Jesus. I mean, have you noticed how many times have I used the word Jesus tonight? Like twice.
Yeah,
I talked about
twice.
everything. See, this is what, and I think Daniel's on board. I've talked about a lot of topics from apotheosis, transhumanistic spaceflight, and space is being a metaphor for Luciferian. Space is a metaphor for Luciferian. I mentioned. Let me finish. I've mentioned all these things, but even one mention of Christ, and all of a sudden everything is erased. And see, this is a problem. We have, it's a brainwashing thing the Jesuits did, where you can't even go down that road. Like faith, and I mean, the idea of faith is not necessarily a bad idea. Yeah, you don't have to like always empirically. I mean, don't we have faith in the heliocentric model? We have faith in gravity. We have faith in evolution. We have faith in all of these things that are really unproven. But if you have faith in God, let me finish. You have faith in God, all of a sudden that's
earlier.
I can go here, but I'm trying to finish.
You said something earlier. I dare anyone to challenge me and call me stupid. There is no way I would call you stupid because you're obviously very educated, very smart, and I'm listening to all the research and the information. It's incredible the way you're putting it together, buddy. I would never call you stupid. I respect your brain. That's why I'm calling you now.
I wouldn't call you stupid either.
That's why I'm calling you now, because I do respect your intellect. But you got a laser focus. I wish you could turn that high-powered focus onto seeing the giant psyop, the giant one.
Into what?
The giant psyop. The psyop above them all. Tell them what I said, Daniel.
For me, the psyop of them all is the metaphor of outer space, portraying outer space as something real, and instead it's a religion. To me, that's the massive psyop. Is using outer space as a way to hijack the world's mind. Yeah,
I'm with you, buddy, on that. I mean, outer space is very fuzzy, but I'm talking about don't pigeonhole people, Greg, because they don't believe that Jesus is the way. Don't say they're Luciferian or we're going to hell because we don't believe Jesus is the way to get to heaven.
Well, I've never used the word hell tonight at all. What I'm saying is that
it's okay if you believe that, but can't you let other people
let him finish, Todd. Let him answer you.
All right, I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is that Luciferianism, if you've ever really been involved in the things I'm talking about, which I have, I'm not just textbooking my way through. I've been involved in the New Age and all the techniques and mind stuff and meditation and psychedelics, and I know what it is. It leads to a kind of dark, satanic, Luciferian trap. Now, you can call it hell, or you can call it whatever you want, The alternative is this other road. It's a moral road, and it doesn't lead there. And I'm not saying that Christ is the way. I'm just saying that it is the way that is not Luciferian, and it doesn't lead to this dark place. And everything else, and I say everything, I mean everything else is Luciferian. Hinduism, atheism. Let me finish. Hinduism, atheism, pantheism, mysticism.
Hold on, Todd. We'll let you go one more time. Let's Greg finish here.
I'm sorry. Finish, please.
Yeah. So basically, all the other isms, pantheism, deism, atheism, Gnosticism, Arianism, astrophysics, cosmology, all of these things lead to this trap. The only thing that doesn't is this moral Christian system. Okay, now, doesn't mean you have to become Christian or even say the name Jesus. I'm just saying that, I'm just laying it out.
Moral Christian system. Which moral Christian system, Greg? Which one is it that we're supposed to tune into? Which one is it?
Well, the most basic moral system from Christianity is that you have the Ten Commandments, right? It's pretty clear.
Okay, Todd. Let's. We're kind of running out of time, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take you off the line. Maybe we could talk later, but I'm gonna go ahead and let Greg answer that question. Greg, basically, what he's saying, just to reiterate, is there a particular type of Christianity? Todd seems to have an issue with the idea that perhaps some versions of Christianity might conflict with each other.
Right, it's a good question. It was hard to respond because I think he was talking through me. But what it is that you have the infiltration of Christianity to contaminate it and make it appear to be, horrible and satanic and dogmatic and restrictive. But aside from that, you have pretty basic stuff. And the biggest one I would say is this thing about thou shalt not have any gods before me, idolatry. The cell phone is a form of idolatry. Money is a form of idolatry. Worshipping out of space is a form of idolatry. Worshipping the earth, Gaia, is the New Age. You worship Gaia, the earth. That's a form of idolatry. Whenever we worship the creation, it's a form of idolatry. The only system I've ever seen that does not have that is Christianity, where you seek the creator, not the creation. So my answer is that's the moral framework that I'm referring to. Doesn't mean you have to use the word Jesus or talk about hell or any of that. It just means that there's a central mindset, and that's just thou shalt not have any false idols. There's also thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. These are pretty clear things, and you don't find them anywhere else. These are absolute moral dogmas that the New Age does not touch any of that. You can do anything in the New Age, anything. Everything's allowed.
Moral relativism.
Moral relativism, feet firmly planted in firm air, where you can do anything, sexual, drugs, you could do without will. There is no restrictions in science and astrophysics and the New Age. There's no moral code in atheism. It just doesn't exist at all. And so if people say, well, why is this such a wonderful thing in your eye? Well, because everything else leads to a worship of the carnal and of the satanic. But people don't even know what satanic and Luciferian is because they're so indoctrinated. Me too. I'm indoctrinated too, but I'm waking up.
I love the cover that you put on One Deception to Rule Them All. That looks really badass.
You like that one?
Yeah. Let me see if I can't show that to everybody. There we go.
I've always wanted to explain that cover to people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What exactly is what is the meaning behind that? That's a very interesting transhumanist looking design.
Yeah, one thing I should tell you is that all my books, the covers, they kind of encapsulate the interior content of my book. So One Deception to Rule Them All kind of reflects transhumanistic artificial intelligence. And then you've got the Gnostic Luciferian New Age with Katy Perry as the Babylonian whore. Okay, One Deception to Rule Them All. The front is kind of like a transhumanistic alien robotic kind of thing with a toga, like a Christian, like he's the Messiah. So what you're seeing there is you're seeing an alien the fake alien Messiah. And that's that's the deception. They're going to bring in this artificial intelligence-based Messiah, this alien intelligence that's either going to be a threat to the world if we don't obey it, or I don't know how they're going to spin it, but it's going to be introduced to the world, probably to the Vatican, and we'll be like, oh, okay, there's this intelligence, and it's so powerful, we need to like worship or fight it or something. So that's the Messiah. That's the alien, the fake alien, outer space Messiah on the front. The Jesus figure. That's the idea.
Do you feel that there's going to really be a being or group of beings, or perhaps some sort of robotics or creatures or anything like that that's presented to humanity as what you say?
I don't know if it's necessarily a singular creature, like the rising of like Sophia is a AI robotics who's now a citizen of Saudi Arabia, the Sophia. I don't know if it's going to be that. Could be. Or, you got, what's the Amazon stuff, like Alexa in your home, you just ask AI devices or Siri. I think it could just be the beast system itself. The whole digital AI system itself, that could be the whole Antichrist, just the rise of the technocratic digital beast system.
One of the reasons I asked that is because in the last, not the recent one that's coming out, of course, but the last Terminator movie, Skynet actually got his body. Or a body.
Okay, so it's like incarnation of Skynet, you're saying?
Yeah, I have to wonder, could, like the cover of your book, could there be a body for Lucifer to actually physically inhibit someday? I know that sounds kind of goofy, but you really have to wonder.
It makes sense. There's a certain charismatic seduction to have an actual body. I mean, when you see like a leader that's handsome, or wait, let's take this, what's her name? Greta Thunberg. She's this hideously twisted, mentally disturbed, puppet for the climate change terror thing. But she had a certain power to her. I mean, I think this is a kind of funny thing. But the other night I was like, I wonder if Greta Thunberg is the Antichrist. You got to laugh a little bit. You never know.
Yeah, it really could be anybody. I've heard people claim, oh, it's this person, it's that person. He's going to be this blonde, curly-haired guy from Greece or Rome, and he's gonna take over, etc., etc.
I think it's Greta. My vote goes to Greta, the 16-year-old.
At least it's not Obama. A lot of people thought it was Obama.
No, I mean, the charismatic leader idea, beautiful, like in the movie The Omen.
Yeah.
Where a guy's got he's a businessman, a CEO, or a government head of state. He's got a briefcase, and he's got a nice Gucci jacket. And no, I don't think that's the Antichrist. It's more like Greta. It's someone who stirs people up and creates a tipping point of terror and fear against global climate agendas. But they actually submit to the United Nations Council of Agenda 21, give up all their freedoms, and all of a sudden, overnight, the entire world becomes a slave state, like in one, because of Greta. I think that's really what the Antichrist will be.
And you do have to wonder, there's a lot of accusations against the elite, people like Hillary Clinton. A lot of people will say they are actually possessed. They have something inside of them. They have some sort of demonic, interdimensional intelligence influencing them. I have to wonder if this potential a demonic interdimensional influence is actually what has been pulling the strings through people like Madame Blavatsky, Crowley, people like that. And even up to this day, perhaps it's some sort of demonic sort of club that's actually creating a lot of this stuff.
Well, this is where you get to that kind of epistemological separation between like paranormal ideology coming out of the Rhine Institute, where they study paranormal psychology, like the Rhine Institute and other institutes, and Charles Tart, and a long time ago, they studied parapsychology, versus you have the actual spiritual idea of Lucifer. And I don't talk too much about Lucifer, because people go, what? I talk about Luciferianism, which is the doctrine of Lucifer, which is using secret knowledge to become immortal and eternal, divorced of God or any humility. It's arrogance. And so it could be what you said. They could all nexus together where there's actually, entity, Lucifer. I can't prove there's not. Where all of this is coming from. This intelligence, the light of this angel of light that gives the light of knowledge. The enlightenment was based on Luciferian enlightenment, the knowledge. The Illuminati, right? The Illuminati, light, knowledge, illumination. That could be all coming from an actual, entity that where we wrestle against flesh and blood, not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual powers on high. And it could be that's the case. That's harder to prove, because how do you prove?
Yeah, or perhaps we are destined to actually take these ideas and these archetypes and give them flesh through a robotic body or some sort of clone or something like that. That's possible too. That's like a third option.
I think we're already kind of seeing that in VR, virtual reality. Oh yeah, before I forget, I just thought of something. I was at a college recently, or a high school, and they have a VR lab, super high end, like better than Stanford. And they're like, "You want to check out?" And I was like, "Oh, you're talking to the wrong guy." Like a real virtual reality experience. And I said, like, Ready Player One. He goes, "Sure, put these glasses," and I put on the goggles. I swear, I've never seen anything like this. It was Star Wars. And it was like everything was 3D, and I could pick up objects with my hands in 3D virtual reality. So I think you're right. They could use, and that's just at some high school. I think they've got to a place where they're going to simulate like whole cities, and it'll just be like celestial, crazy places with archetypical robotic digital avatars. And that's why I say it's not a person, it's a system. The Antichrist is a system. It's a digital beast, quasi-techno-spiritual, like my first book. My first book was titled Techno-Spiritual, or Techno-Spiritualism and Techno-Spiritual Warfare. So when I meant techno-spiritual warfare, I meant that we're in a war, and it's a technologically spiritual war. And I still mean that.
I would have to definitely agree with that. Did you happen to catch the anti-Flat Earth documentary that was on Netflix?
Well, I think I watched some of it because someone told me that it was out there. And then this guy Mark Sargent's getting some bad PR because he's doing some kind of commercial, like selling out, and he's kind of like the deification of Mark Sargent, which is the whole Luciferian thing that I'm fighting against. So I don't know what's going on, but the Netflix is it's most assuredly just Luciferian propaganda, and they're not going to really truly support anything that's, real. So they're probably just going to, I haven't seen it, but I imagine it was painted in such a way to give credibility to Flat Earth and to destroy that credibility somehow. Is that what happened?
I mostly just heard about it from people parroting things that were said on there. I refuse to watch it because I saw it as a propaganda piece, and I would much rather watch a pro-Flat Earth video, as biased as that sounds.
Honestly, you get to a point where you can, I look at a lot of things that are propaganda so that I can write counter arguments and publish them and educate people. But sometimes I just don't waste my time. I just watch things that are more truthful. You can't spend your entire day just like looking at lies.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on this, but I'm also a huge Michael Jackson fan, and I feel that a lot of the accusations lobbied against him are false. I don't expect anybody to agree with me, but it's the same thing. Netflix documentary, all of a sudden everybody believes it because it's on Netflix.
Wow, that's scary. That's like Bill Nye. Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Yeah, Bill Nye.
Yeah, and I call him Bill Nye the transgender guy. Because, his whole last thing on Netflix, Bill Nye Saves the World. Again, the deification of self. You see how Luciferian and satanic the title is? Bill Nye, not God. Even Todd is like, oh, you mentioned Christ. That's a evil. It's like Christ is evil. How did we get this far where, so you're saying that Jesus died for you? You actually believe that? And it's like, there's so much more to that whole theological system than just that. Would you agree with that much?
Oh, absolutely. I actually am a believer in Christ. I believe that he existed pretty much as it's said. I'm sure some things have definitely been twisted around by, certain
Yeah.
figures and whatnot. But Josephus, he was a historian that wrote about Jesus, and Josephus was a real historian. So I don't understand how people are so obsessed with covering up or obfuscating his existence. Boy, I botched that word, but I don't understand that, because you have a historical record of his existence. Whether you believed he had powers or whatever, it's historical record. It is. There's no big conspiracy. It's all there. You have to reach and twist things around to convince somebody that Jesus did not exist historically.
And that's
Still there, Greg?
yeah. I lost your audio for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, same here. Go ahead. I just kind of finished what I was saying, and you started talking.
Probably just glitch, computer buffering glitch. But yeah, you have to be like a Bible scholar to sort all that out. But ultimately, you can go forever trying to figure that one out. Yeah, I think at some point you have to realize that the whole mesmerism that modern thinking is so liberated and ancient thinking is, archaic and stupid. Like they were all just a bunch of peasants back there. Those idiots that built the pyramids. Like there's just a bunch of morons that built the pyramids. I mean, we can't even really pull that off now. It's a pretty wild feat. And so if you can just keep portraying a bunch of sandal-wearing idiots, and that the new age, we're so smart. And I think that's the Luciferian strategy, is to get you thinking. It's arrogance. You're so smart, you got self-on.
That's a good point you bring up, because that might be another aspect of this. They want us to spend our time arguing historical record and fact and kind of miss the message, because really, like you said, regardless of if you believe in Lucifer or if you believe he's a being, et cetera, these philosophies, these ideas, Luciferianism and everything it represents is very real. That's undoubtedly true. It's undoubtedly true that it's a major force shaping our world. That's fact.
Yeah, Luciferianism constitutes the nucleus of the ruling class religion. Their political, their economic rationales, the elite, criminality. Luciferianism can account for the longevity of all these oligarchies and powers. It's behind the Crusades. It's behind the Garden of Eden. It's behind Apple computer. It's behind everything. And
Apple with the bite taken out of it. Like that just flies underneath all of our noses. The Apple.
All of it. Yeah, the first Apple computer sold for $666.
Creepy. Creepy.
I mean, everything is they've been running the reality secret societies since day one. And, it's like the Bible actually rings true. It says it's a satanic world. Christ mentions that there's going to be, the deceiving philosophies and deceiver teachers and imitators of Christ. I mean, all of that we're seeing now, it's just statistically impossible to have seen everything that's happening now and put it in a book 2,000 years ago and to nail it, all of it. I mean, a lot of it's not metaphorical or poetic. It's like exactly what's happening. And you could say I have one chapter in my book that said it's the Bible. Or is it prophecy or is it a blueprint? Are the Hebrew Talmudic tradition, are they following the Bible as a blueprint and making it happen? That could be. Or is it prophetic and it's like godly writ and showing us the end times, end of days? Or is it both? I don't know. But I do know this. It is happening. There's no way of avoiding the fact this is the fruition of all of these teachings from thousands of years ago. We're seeing deceptions after deceptions and layers and mind control and apocalyptic events. It's all coming to be.
Yeah, I get in these arguments with people. They'll tell me things like, "Oh, we're getting better and better at taking care of the environment. Well, there might be some truth to that, but
Right.
you don't get back the salmon. You can't get them back. You're not going to clone them and bring them. We try to introduce salmon through hatcheries. It doesn't work. They're not real wild salmon. We get less and less back every year. We keep pumping more and more little spawn out there, but it doesn't solve the problem. The wild salmon just keep getting less and less. You can't just go in there and play God and mess with nature. It doesn't work that way. You got to leave that stuff alone. We were put here to take care of this paradise. We are not taking care of it. We are physically destroying it.
Yeah, that's that too. And we're also, it's almost a red herring distraction to even talk about the environment. I'm not trying to negate what you're saying. You have a very real thing you're talking about. But I'm saying it's almost like a red herring argument to distract from the reality of what's really going on is that the environment doesn't really matter ultimately, because it's not I'm not saying we should destroy the environment. It's not about, living forever here anyway. Because, see, that's the Luciferian teaching, is that, this is the only place you have, so rock on. But according to this Christian idea, there's no way to preserve this physical, carnal existence for very long. You just die. But think about it. If you want to preserve the environment for your kids, it's okay, fine, and they die. And what was the point? To live in kind of like a suffering for 60, 70, 80 years, learn a few truths, and then you die? I mean, that's not a very high bar. This is the atheistic dream. And you just live and die. It's pointless. It's meaningless. And the only way out of that is to focus on this eternal life that's beyond kind of the physical, carnal existence. See, Luciferianism wants you to focus on outer space and here and existence here, outer space included. It's like you never go on to anything like heaven, really. There's no judgment. You just keep evolving and evolving and evolving and evolving. Now, we don't see that as a reality. You actually die. You're allotted but one life and you're out. So it doesn't really matter what happens to the environment. And I'm not saying we should destroy it. I'm just saying it's almost a red herring to focus too much on that. And we should preserve the environment, and it's good to crusade for it. But ultimately, it's beyond our control when they start sending, world wars our direction, and artificial plagues and artificial famines and artificial weather, geoengineering, weaponized weather. It won't matter. But if you try to save anything, they're going to just destroy whatever they want to destroy.
Yeah,
So
really, there is no escape, because, you could go out in the woods and you can hide and try to get away from it all. Next thing you know, you look down and the little mosquito that you thought was a mosquito, it's a little robot with a camera on it.
Bingo, exactly. And then electromagnetic warfare, EMP, 5G, they're using electromagnetic radiation to saturate whole countries. It's just not even a physical battle. It's purely techno-spiritual warfare. You cannot escape at all, except through, listen to this, Todd, except through this Christian mystery. There is no other way out. Now, you can say, well, okay, I'll just die, because I'd rather do that than bow to Christ. Well, that's the arrogance of Luciferianism. You see, the whole idea is that you stick to your guns, I will not be looked at as some kind of idiot. You've got to be super smart and sophisticated and choose the new age.
And Greg, fascinating discussion tonight, but unfortunately we're well past 2 hours and we're kind of in overtime already. But I do want to, as always, I want to go ahead and open things up, just give you the floor, go ahead and finish off, say whatever you would like to say, get on the soapbox one more time if you'd like, and feel free to go ahead and follow that up with anything at all you'd like to talk about or plug tonight.
Oh, let's see. I think I'll just finish by saying that it kind of wraps it up short, that the thing we're really looking at, or I'm looking at right now, is kind of the idea of apotheosis, which is becoming God, through secret knowledge. And so the idea of outer space is, as a metaphor, this kind of Luciferian religion, is very, very key to where I see all this is going. And that's why they're pushing this in space movies and NASA, everywhere you see. They want to get us into, it's like the destination is not a place, like outer space is not a place, it's a metaphor. So the destination is not Mars or Jupiter or Cygnus 8. The destination is mind control. So if people could start realizing and waking up to the fact that that's where they're trying to bring you, is into a techno-celestial mindset of outer space and technology, and it's like psychopharmakia, it's like digital pharmakia, where you're merging with your computer technology and your cell phone and VR and digital outer space images, and eventually it's like a psychedelic experience. Computer, and Timothy Leary said that the computer's like a psychedelic experience. So it's no longer with LSD; it's with digital environments, and this is really where they're trying to construct a digital matrix of holographic reality that is a religious place. And once we're fully ensconced and plugged and anchored and embedded into this kind of metaphoric religion of outer space and digital realms, that is the Ready Player One trap that we don't want to be in. That's the uploading to Elon Musk uploading to a computer that you cannot escape. Because once you're plugged in, you have no control. You've given if you had a soul, it's no longer under your control. So that's kind of like my only real admonishment about everything, is that don't go too far into this digital realm and like upload your consciousness or get a chip in your brain, or because there's no way out. And you're given one life to live, and you have to figure out what eternal life is. If you choose not to decide about it, as Rush said, you still have made a choice. There's no way to not decide. To not choose, you're still choosing. So you better choose wisely, about where you want to go with this. To Luciferianism or to something different. And I've encountered this idea of Christianity, just laying it out.
And we can get your books all on one website now?
Yeah, I decided to consolidate everything because thousands of people all over the world were saying, where can I get your book? And I always tell them, email me, because I like to give it away for free. I give all my books away for free. That's the PDF of Gregory Garrett at hotmail.com. But that gets to be kind of laborious, and I have a job and I have other things to do besides writing and hanging out at my computer. So I made a website. It's Gregory Lessing Garrett. I don't know how you want to portray that, but I can spell it out, like Gregory, G-R-E. Maybe you could write it out.
In Garrett, there's 2 R's and 2 T's. That's how I remember.
Yeah, Gregory Lessing. So it's G-R-E-G-O-R-Y, and then it's all one word, L-E-S-S-I-N-G, and Garrett, G-A-R-R-E-T-T, books.com. So it's Gregory Lessing Garrett Books. And so they're all there, and you basically can scroll through the books, and you can choose what you want, and there's also Amazon Kindle, so it's super cheap to buy. And then I also say you can contact me on Facebook, and then again, email me. Anyone in the world can email me, and the books are all free for anybody. Always free. Always
free, but keep in mind, everybody, that if you go to the website, or if you go directly on Amazon and you buy a hard copy of Greg's books, that does go to support him and his wonderful work. So I highly encourage that as well.
Well, that's just so I can keep the books coming out, because I do have another full-time job to support my being able to write. But I still need to keep that job because it keeps me humble, and I don't want to just be sitting in my room writing books. So, no one has to go crazy about buying my books. Just get in contact me, and I'll give you free PDFs. If you buy a book, the big advantage is you have the physical book, and well, in my view, there's nothing better than having the actual book with the cover. And I like books.
And that might be why your books are so powerful, because they aren't entirely money motivated. There's just so much truth in there.
Yeah, well, they're obviously not money motivated, because I constantly get my email out to get free PDFs, and everyone drops by. They'll say things like, "Oh yeah, but I want to. Do you have like a PayPal or some way I can pay you?" And I said, "No, just take the PDFs." And then I just keep getting these things where people want to pay, which is very interesting. People just really want to pay you for truth. They really, really want to compensate you. I just say, no, don't worry about it. And then some people go to Amazon, they buy the book, and then that helps.
Sweet deal. Are you still listening to metal music, Greg?
Yeah, I play keyboards in a metal band, kind of symphonic melodic metal. I played music my whole life. At Carnegie Hall at 16 on trumpet and symphonies, but now, music was my thing for way before writing books. So I was playing in bands and symphonies. So yeah, playing keyboards in a metal band, and I'm trying to get a musical theater piece on stage at a local university. I write Gothic musical theater, and the next book's coming out, and then the 8th book, and then yeah, pretty busy.
Non-stop with you.
Well, I always say things like, all glory be to God. Nobody, I could never pull this off. It was just like my little personal odyssey. It would never work.
I love it. And we'll definitely have to do this again soon. Still the most requested guest on the program, Greg, buddy, I thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will talk again soon, my friend.
My pleasure. We'll do it soon. All right. Take care, Daniel.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And there you have it. That was our buddy, Gregory Lessing Garrett. Fascinating individual, some very interesting ideas that he has. I'm going to go ahead and put us on a break for a good 10-15 minutes. I don't know what to do with this friggin' camera. It's pointed at the ceiling so you guys don't see me pick my butt. But I'm going to go ahead and use the potty. I'm going to break, and then we'll come back and we'll have some fun. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to have some fun, and we'll see what happens.
I ain't gotta ask for my chest, but you know a young nigga stay fly. I'm swaying how a young nigga flex, but I better ring over the night. Batman, yeah. Batman. I ain't gotta ask for my chest, but you know a young nigga stay fly. I'm swaying how a young nigga flex, but I better ring over. Hold up. Gotham City on a dark night. If your homie saving, I never fall. She just wanna ride with a nigga, put the Batmobile on cruise control. He's my nigga from way back. We side kicking house robbing hoes. Poison ivy all in the blood. Harley Quinn on the stripper pole. Gemini like face out the hand and tails, I can't decide. Gotham bitches like the bat signal. Arkham bitches is the bat line. Scarecrow, my drug dealer, get a pill from him and hoes can't behave. I never bring him to my state. I open him to the back. Batman. Yeah. Hey, I ain't gotta answer your chest, but you know a young nigga stay fly. Swing how a young nigga flex, but I better ring hoes in the night. Batman, yeah. Batman. I ain't gotta answer my chest, but you know a young nigga stay fly. Swing how a young nigga flex, but I better ring hoes in the night. Riding around on my back bike, at night I can't act right. Nocturnal with a flashlight, got the cat woman with that cat light. While I'm dodging calls from Harley Quinn, we all know she's the quick to fight. Got a leg up on Superman, real G's got no kryptonite. Riddle me that and riddle me this. Pull it out, now riddle me these. Tripping out on some triple C's, while Wonder Woman show me triple D's. Tie her up with her golden lasso. I'm the one, I'm a chosen asshole. Choke her ass while I hit it right. We both know that I'm never bashful. Fresh as fuck like Bruce Wayne. I'm the same with a darker tan. I get all my hoes super wet. Bad bitches call me Aquaman, cause I ain't gotta answer my chest, but you know a young nigga stay fly. Swing how a young nigga flex, but I better ring hoes in the night. Batman, yeah. Batman, 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 Batman. I ain't gotta answer my chest, but you know a young nigga stay fly. Swing how a young nigga flex, but I better ring hoes in the night. Batman.
Turn this one up.
I'm giving you a night call. Tell you how I feel. I want to drive you through the night, down the hills. I can tell you something you don't want to hear. I'm gonna show you where it's stuck, but I have no fear. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, but you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, but you're still the same. I'm hearing your night calls. Tell you how I feel. I want to drive you through the night, down the hills. I can tell you're so near. Don't want to hear. I'm gonna show you where it's dark, but I have no fear. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, but you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, but you're still the same. There's something inside you. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, but you're still the same.
Grammarly injured. This is the story of how Danny, a soon-to-be college grad and a Grammarly user, connects.
It's you and me. It's you and me. You won't be unhappy. Be good. And if you feel confident, and I can't stop ourselves. We are not that bold. We are not that hill. We are not that hill. It's you and me. It's you and me. You won't be unhappy. Come on, baby. Come on, darling. Let me steal this moment from you now. Come on, angel. Come on, darling. Baby, let's exchange the
Okay. Enough's enough. Whew. Okay. Whew. Okay. So, wore myself out there dancing a little bit. Great songs during the break. We had Batman by Masters of Creation. We had Night Call by Kavinsky. And the last one was Meg Myers, Running Up That Hill. I hope you enjoyed the music selection tonight. We've got a few more things to talk about. I'm not going to go super long. I don't want the show to just go on and on and on and on. I know some of you guys love the 3 to 5 hour show. I love them too, but honestly, I got to curb it back a bit. If I'm going to do a show once a week, I got to keep it to like 3 hours, because if you're listening to like 5 hours of this show, you might need to like get other hobbies and stuff. I mean, I love this show. It's my show. It's End of Days Radio, but 5 hours, it's hard, guys. It's hard. I need to sleep and feed my cat and take care of my new fish tank. Yes, I have a new fish tank thanks to my good-for-nothing relatives. They don't want to take care of their fish because I'm a nice guy. I got to take their fish. Now I got a fish tank. Where's my fucking phone? Oh. Whole life is on my little beast phone here. So, oh God, I just flatulated really bad. Did you guys hear that? I hope not, because that'd be really embarrassing if I did that on video here, live on End of Days Radio. It was definitely a wet one. Okay, so first off, I did want to talk a little bit more about Thanos. Thanos, very popular Marvel villain right now. And once again, I've said this before on the last show with Andy. If you want to know Thanos, you got to read the comics. You can't just watch the movies, because Thanos is a crazy character. As good of a job as the movies did with him, they did not quite capture fully the essence of Thanos in the story. You want to go back and read the old stuff. Go back and read the Infinity Gauntlet. Read the original badass, one of the greatest comic book storylines ever. Thanos just comes on strong. He kind of does what he did in the movie, but it goes down in a different way. Even if you've seen the movie, please read the entire Infinity Gauntlet saga. Thanos is a legit badass as far as the comic books go. He is stronger than the Hulk. What he did to the Hulk in the movie, he probably could do that in the comics. The thing is that what was wrong with that is the Hulk did not put up a good enough of a fight. Realistically, if they were to fight in the comics, the Hulk would be throwing around Thanos, getting stronger. It'd be a better fight, unless the writing was really terrible. But not to go too much into nerddom. In the pro wrestling world, WWE, they brought in Cain Velasquez to wrestle Brock Lesnar. Apparently, Cain Velasquez has been getting really trained in the wrestling, and he's been working with AAA, Mexican wrestling down there in Mexico, and he's starting to learn what he's doing. So they put him in there with Lesnar, so they're going to rematch the original MMA fight with a pro wrestling match. Goofy as hell. Goofy as hell. Originally, I thought it was an awful idea, but being the fact that Cain is trying to get into Cain Velasquez, not Cain, not that Cain, but Cain Velasquez, he is trying to get into wrestling. So actually, it's a good move for him. I mean, if he can put on a match and actually entertain millions of people in Saudi Arabia when he wrestles Brock Lesnar, which is going to be a challenge because Brock's going to be tossing him around. There's going to be a lot of big power moves. And I did not even want to watch that Crown Jewel pay-per-view. I hate the Crown Jewel stuff. They're the worst, most boring shows. I don't have time for that. But being that they have that match on there as well as the Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman thing, now I'm being forced to watch. So I will be watching Crown Jewel, and I will be watching wrestling again. Yes, I do watch a lot of wrestling. I'm a huge freaking unashamed nerd as far as things like that go. It's what I like. It's what I enjoy. Probably watch a good 9 hours of wrestling a week. I'm not proud of that. I'm not really ashamed of it either because I love me some wrestling. Where do I even start with this? So I don't know if you guys have been paying much attention to my YouTube channel, the End of Days Radio YouTube channel, but I have kind of disconnected. I talked about it on my last show, but I went through a lot. I went through, to get a little personal with you guys, I had a family member that passed. And in addition to that, I also lost somebody else that was really important to me. And I just kind of shut down. I had so much stuff coming at me. I did not have time to absorb it all. I did not have time to process it. It was just coming at me so fast. I just went into a little bit of, I'm being real with you, I went into a little bit of a depression. I talked about this on the last show. But to heal myself and to just escape all the madness and the crazy Illuminati threats and stuff like that, and the researchers going missing and all that stuff, I just disconnected. I went into the woods. It started out as a trip to the beach. Then I started hiking, and then I loved that, and I started fishing, and I got addicted to fishing. Now I can't stop fucking fishing. Like, I wasn't into fishing that much before. I don't know what it was, but like I said, I lost a family member, and fishing was kind of like, it was kind of like my way to deal with that, because that person really liked to fish. So that's kind of, sorry, I didn't mean to get upset. I just, when I think about it, it just kind of makes me upset. But when I go out there and fish, I have the most fun. Wild stuff happens. All kinds of like wild things that I'm unprepared for. So I don't know if you guys have been watching my videos. So let me brush myself off a bit. I don't know if you've been watching my videos, but I probably encountered wolves. I was desperate to catch something. I heard fish bite better at night, so I went up to my favorite lake in the middle of the night. It was crazy. I was by myself. I had my pole in the water. I start hearing this crazy howling. It sounded like fucking dogmen or werewolves or something like that. Like, out of this fucking world. Like, I was like, okay, that's got to be coyotes. What else could that be? I'm hearing this crazy howling coming at me. It's got to be coyotes. But the thing is, I've had tons of coyotes around the house. You know, they sneak around, they eat your cats, they, you know, people take shots at them with 22s, et cetera, et cetera. I don't do that. I just yell at them, tell them to go away. But I've heard plenty of fucking coyotes around the house. Plenty of them. This was not coyotes. So I go home, I get this idea. I go on YouTube, I look for a recording of some gray wolves, right? So I'm like, you know, if it's not coyotes, what else could it be, right? Sounds exactly the same. Sounds exactly the fuck the same. And there was a lot of them. So I go and I read and I find out wolves are making this huge comeback in Washington State. Great news. Who doesn't like wolves? I heard fucking wolves. I thought they were extinct. How crazy is that? Like, what a privilege for me as an individual to be out there alone in the forest with a fucking pack of wolves. Big eye opener. For one thing, shouldn't be out in the forest by myself at night without a fucking weapon. Dangerous as fuck. What were you thinking, Daniel? What were you thinking? Too ballsy for my own good sometimes. Too brave for my own good. I know some fucking hard-ass, tough dudes that would not go into the woods alone at night. That was crazy of me to do. I did not know what I was doing. I had, again, and you know, now I'm taking care of it. Now I go in there with a big-ass knife and a gun, et cetera, et cetera. But I did not know what I was doing. And I was putting myself in danger. But I got to hear some wolves, and I feel like it was, I feel like it was like the spirit of nature, the spirit of the wolf, calling out to me, saying, Daniel, you gotta fucking do something about this shit. So anyways, like I'm fishing, right? And something weird always fucking happens. Like I got really into bass fishing. Bass fishing is fun as fuck. Like, holy shit. Have you ever been bass fishing? Bass fishing is like one of the most interesting, fun things you could possibly do. Bass are fucking crazy. They can live like anywhere. But anyways, so I go to bass fishing. Finally caught me some bass. Okay, so freshwater season's kind of over. So what do? I still want to fish, so I'm going to go catch some salmon. There's like no fucking salmon. We've destroyed all the rivers and creeks, and there's dams everywhere, and the fish farms and hatcheries, and all that stuff's fucking everything up. There's like hardly any fish. You can look at the stats. You can look at the news. We're completely killing the salmon. It's a bummer because I want to go catch some salmon. And not only can I not catch the salmon, but the fucking orcas that we need to chase away the white sharks also aren't going to get their salmon. So bad news, right? Crazy shit's happened out there. So I got this like porpoise fucking stalking me. I see this porpoise from far away, and it's like, watch me. I'm like, what's that? Is it a fucking shark? I'm like, holy shit, it's a shark. No, it turned out it was a porpoise. This porpoise is like watching me. And when I'm done fishing, I throw my leftover fish in the water, and I hear this crazy dolphin sound like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, what was that? That came from on top of the bridge. That came from somebody's cell phone. I don't know what that was. Then I go home and I think about it. I realized that wasn't a shark I saw. That was a porpoise. And the sound I heard was the porpoise saying thank you for the fish that I gave him. So I made a fucking porpoise friend. I made a porpoise buddy. Just out there fishing at the local beach. I didn't know there was fucking porpoises down there. So I go back, right? I go back because I want to make better friends with my porpoise buddy. I always wanted to swim with dolphins. I always want to meet dolphins. So I go back. Within like 10 minutes, there's something fucking slithering around in the shallow water right in front of me. I'm like, yeah, it's my buddy. It's the porpoise. It's my buddy. I'm running up to it. That was not the porpoise. That was not my buddy. That was some freaking angry ass elephant or sea lion. It was a sea lion pup. You know, we get seals and sea lions mixed up. Not the same thing. Another thing I've been learning. So a fucking sea lion pup is all pissed off at me. He's getting right up in my grill. So first a porpoise. No, fuck that. First wolves, and then a porpoise, and then a fucking sea lion. What is this? The fucking Daniel Zoo? The Wild Kingdom with Daniel? Why am I running into all these animals? I just went outside. I didn't know all that shit was out there. Nature is badass. It's not boring. Nature is not boring. You go saltwater fishing and some shit's gonna go down. I don't know what that shit's gonna be, but there's nothing boring about fishing, especially saltwater fishing, because you're gonna run into some crazy ass shit out there. I guarantee you. It also helps when you bring herring with you, like you saw me bust out of my freezer, and then on top of that, put some herring scent on top of your herring. That tends to attract wildlife. But hey, I'm having fun. I don't usually catch anything, but I attract lots of sea lions and porpoises, and even had a gull getting naughty with my hook, which scared the shit out of me, because who wants to have their fucking hook in a gull that's trying to fly away? It's scary, right? I'm trying to fish. I'm not trying to really damage the wildlife. But anyways, enough of my wild outdoor adventures. I am getting into it, though. I'm having a lot of fun, and as you probably have heard and seen on Twitter, I'm getting really environmentally conscious. I see what we're doing. I see it. I see the salmon population just being fucking brutalized. There's hardly any kings left. The Chinooks are like fucking non-existent. And these big boats, they can go and fish in the open water out of the ocean, and they can do that because it's international waters. They can fish, and then everybody blames the Native Americans when they've been doing the same thing for thousands and thousands of years. It's the big commercial shit that's the problem. It's when we take away their creeks. It's when we build hydroelectric dams in their way. It's when we have fish farms because everybody wants to eat salmon, and then those fish are diseased, and they spread those diseases to our wild salmon. That's when we get into problems. And they don't want you knowing this shit. They want to cover it all up. They want business as usual. You take away the hydroelectric dams, how are people going to get their electricity? Right? Humans come first, right? Humans come first. I think humans should come last because humans kind of suck sometimes, don't they? I mean, do you really give a fuck about humans? Do you? Besides yourself and your family, do you really care? Do you really care what happens to the masses and masses out there? I do, but only a little. I think the salmon are important too. Seahawks are doing well. Seahawks are 5-1. Seahawks are doing good. Russell Wilson on the team. Russell Wilson might be MVP this year. Cool personal stat. Team's doing good. Are they bound for the Super Bowl? I don't know. Probably not. That's pretty far-fetched. It's probably going to be the Patriots again with Tom Shady. Everybody's favorite, Tom Shady Brady. Again. How about them Yankees? How about them Patriots? Again. Let's do the Patriots and the Jets again. Or how about the Patriots and the Packers again? Yeah. But I do love me some foosball. Win or lose, I'm starting to become a better fan because when I fucking turn the radio off and I give up and Russell Wilson's still in there and trying to win the game for us, I feel like a dick because that guy can fucking play some football. Holy shit. And he does not give up. He does not give up. We are all quitters. Russell Wilson is the dude that doesn't quit. He's down and out. He's not giving up. Most humans would lose confidence at that point. He does not give up. He does not fucking give up. And he's not very tall either. He's kind of short, which makes the whole thing even more amazing. I played this Call of Cthulhu game on the PS4. That game fucking sucked. Holy shit. I only bought it because it was Cthulhu and Lovecraft, and I have to get everything that's Lovecraft or Cthulhu, so I bought this game, and it was fucking painful to get through. I barely could get through it. The ending, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Not that you'll ever play it, but that game's a waste of time. I'm sorry. They could have done so much better with that whole thing. It was going well for a while, but not worth it. Don't get it for PC or PS4 or Xbox. So don't even, just skip it. Skip it. Big things going on in Hong Kong. So, let me try to explain this to you idiots out there. Just kidding, I'm the idiot. So, in Hong Kong, they're having some major issues and some major violence and some major protests because Hong Kong, as you know, was like its own thing. It was a British colony, and they were able to do things for a while, and then it got turned over to China, and they're supposed to run the government for a certain way for a certain amount of time, and they're not really adhering to that. People in Hong Kong are getting mad, they're protesting. It's turning into a bunch of drama. That's real events. It's drama. I feel bad for those people in Hong Kong, especially when you're being oppressed by the Chinese government. I mean, I love Chinese people. I love China, but that government is not nice. They're not nice to children. They're not nice to their citizens. They're very oppressive. They do not have the freedoms that we have here. You can't walk around in a Cthulhu shirt. You can't jump around like I am. You cannot do any of that crap. Like, this show would have been shut down 10 years ago in China. This show would not be on at all. We'd be doing a show about fucking, nothing. We'd be doing a show about wheat, because that's all you can talk about on the radio. Talk about fucking wheat and what types of wheat we're going to grow and how big the wheat's going to grow this year. That's all you can talk about. That's it. No freedom, just oppression. And some people want that here. Like, they want socialists, communists, blah, 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 blah. And I'm watching the TV. It's like, oh, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders earned her support. Oh, good for him. It was tough, but he earned her support. What the fuck? AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she was put where she's at by Bernie Sanders people. And now they're doing this big show acting like he's like earning her support. No, they were always together. They're socialists. They're always together. It's a big show. The only thing is, Bernie Sanders is going to have a heart attack in like 10 days from now because he's so old. So they got this freaking, what is she, Cuban? She looks like Lucille Ball, but she's Cuban or something like that. Dominican or, whatever she is. She's a person of color. And she's the big spokesperson for socialism. She's getting all the young people to think it's cool, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Complete manipulation. Manipulation. AOC. I guess they're actually making pornography with lookalikes of her in it, which is hilarious, but this socialist stuff sucks. I mean, it drives me nuts. These young people, why are you doing this? Socialism is not the answer. Socialism, it's communism. Communism looks good on paper. It's not what we want here. Young people got to understand, communism is the complete opposite of what America is about. America is about democracy and freedom, and a little capitalism thrown in there as well. I mean, whether you like it or not, that's a part of America. Nobody wants you flipping over our country's government and turning it socialist. If you want to be socialist, go live in a freaking socialist country. This is not, see that American flag back there? See that picture of JFK? That's fucking democracy, baby. I'm red-blooded American. I'm not a socialist. I fucking work for everything that I have. I got 2 cars, baby. I work for them. I'm not going to share them with my neighbors or anybody because I fucking bought them. The whole idea behind socialism is everybody's poor and this is fair, so live with it. I've been poor most of my life. Being poor fucking sucks. The last thing I want is a government that says everybody has to be poor unless you're part of some political party. All of those communist countries, the quality of living is shite. They leave to come here where it's not communist. But you have these freaking Antifa people, they're going around, they're running around in black masks, all like, get up, yeah, get up, AOC, Bernie Sanders, yeah, Nazis, you're a Nazi, go home, Nazis, go home, Nazis, go home, Nazis, go home, Nazis, go home, Nazis. It's a lot of shit like that, right? Oh man, those guys can't fight. They're like trying to fight, and they never win. I've watched thousands of those videos. They never win. It sucks for them. I feel bad. Just stop, guys. Stop with your socialism. Stop trying to fight fucking grown men with biceps the size of trees that are 5 times your size. Like, stop picking that fight, dudes. Go about it a different way or fucking lift some weights or something. Take some freaking Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes or something, guys. It's not working. You're getting your asses kicked out there, and rightfully so, because fucking communism stinks. What are you doing? Don't make fools of yourselves. Join a freaking pottery class or something. Do what I'm doing. Get behind that mic. See that flag? See this mic? That's me. That's me. I'm starting to sound like Mike Tyson. That's me. You don't gotta fucking piss me off because I'll knock you down, knock you out, die. I don't even know what just happened. I'm channeling. Oh, my notes. You guys go to the Goodwill. I like the Goodwill. It's not as cool as it used to be, but where else are you gonna get like? Where are you gonna get CDs? Hard to find, right? Goodwill. Records. Goodwill. Old crusty tank top that some old man wore that nobody wants anymore. Goodwill. The Goodwill is just a cool place to hang out, but I always see confrontations there, or I see crazy people hanging out in the parking lot. Like one time I was at the Goodwill, this dude's like just walking around acting crazy. He's like going up to cars and acting like he's taking a picture. He's like starting to takes off his belt and he starts like whipping this like pillar. I'm just sitting there in my car and just like laughing my ass off. He sees me laughing. He starts walking towards me. I'm like, you know, I'm just laughing at him. I'm not trying to fight him or anything. So I just kind of drive away and then laugh some more. And then he gets mad. And he's like coming after me. And then I drive off. And then I came back. The guy was starting to take his clothes off. I'm very mentally ill. I felt bad at that point because, you know, it's like I see these people and there isn't the funds or there isn't the institute to help them. Like they're out talking to the walls, taking their clothes off, all kinds of stuff. They just shut down one of the mental hospitals here. There's no money. Nobody cares. Just like the salmon. Nobody fucking cares. You don't care about the fish. You don't care about the fucking mentally ill. You don't care about the people talking to the voices in their head. People have a major case of the not cares nowadays because everybody's zoned into Trump, 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 Trump. That's all anybody gives a fuck about. The same issues are still around. The so-called planet, the flat Earth, is still dying. The you know, the mentally ill aren't being taken care of. Those issues still exist, even if there's mass shootings and Donald Trump and a wall and stuff like that. They completely control what people are into, and the poor unfortunate mentally ill, they just slip through the cracks. But I always tend to see people like that at the Goodwill, and I always tend to see people like that at Walmart. Like in the Walmart parking lot, there's always like people camping out, people acting mentally ill and crazy, people inside Walmart acting mentally ill and crazy. There's a lot of good-looking, skanky girls there. That's the good part. The skankier they are, the better. But there's always shit going down at Walmart. There's always like confrontations and people taking their clothes off and just wild-ass kids. Get your kids under control, people. I mean, nobody's telling you you need to beat your kids, but just take them home if they're acting that way. Just like take them home. Don't just let them run wild like little wildlings. So Goodwill, Walmart, watch your fucking neck. That's all I have to say. I have a Washington State University like bumper sticker sort of hitch thing on the back of my truck. It was there when I bought it, and I just leave it there because, you know, if people want to think that I went to college, you know, let them think what they want, right? They think that, so why am I trying to get in the way? But I was thinking, what if I actually get into conversation? Like, what if somebody's, oh, you went to Wazoo? So I was thinking about saying my degree is in animal husbandry. That sounds like a pretty good one. Animal husbandry. It's like a bestiality joke. Get it? Oh, animal husbandry. Never mind. That is what I'm going to say. Whoa, what was that? Oh, the other thing is that, so I get in this discussion with people, and I seem to be one of the only people that really believes this. Everybody seems to kind of think the other way, but I actually believe in Lucifer. Like, I believe in Lucifer, the being, the entity, the person, or whatever he is, the fallen angel. I believe in that. I do believe that there's a whole belief system there, Luciferianism, but I actually believe in the being Lucifer. Like, I think Lucifer is behind a lot of this shit that's going on. That's my belief. I know it sounds weird and like, how could that be? How could things be so simple? But the way I see it is, if there's a God, right, there has to be some kind of opposite, like yin and yang, positive and negative. The adversary, the rebel angel Lucifer, that's what it is. It's like the opposite of God and the creator is this liar named Lucifer. This fucking liar. Another reason why I believe is because I have had experiences with supernatural beings. I have had experiences with UFOs. I have had experiences with entities. I have had those experiences. So I know that an intelligence can exist in a non-conventional sort of misty form, a misty form, however you want to put it. I know that there can be interdimensional life. I know that there are beings out there that hide in the shadows and try to manipulate us. I know that's true because I've fucking seen that shit for real. I know that there's beings out there. I know, like, as far as aliens go, I believe that people are seeing something. They're getting abducted by something. They're talking to something. They're encountering something. I'm just saying that be careful because they lie. They lie. Like Hillary Clinton, she fucking lies. So do these beings. They fucking lie. They're smart. They're smart. Don't you get that? They're fucking smart. You're not smarter than they are. No. They're smarter. And that means they can fucking lie to you. And they'll tell you shit. They'll say they're from the Zeti Reticuli. Or they'll say that they're reptilians. Or they're this or that. Or they'll tell you stuff that's going on. Or they'll tell you their species is dying. And all kinds of crap. I'm just saying, don't believe everything that you're told by fucking creepy-ass aliens. Because ultimately, you don't know what they are. They're beyond your scope. So why would you trust everything that they say? The reason why they appear as aliens is because either they're trying to deceive us and push forth an alien agenda, or that's the only way that they can communicate with us. That's the only way they can communicate with us, because how is this higher dimensional being going to explain what it is or where it's from to a human that doesn't understand jack shit? Well, the best way is to explain it within that person or that being's belief system and to conform and fit into their pre-existing belief system. I'm an alien. Oh, you're an alien? That makes sense. What planet are you from? Oh, Zeti Reticuli? Oh, that planet? Okay. Okay. I believe you. Okay. That's how it works. That's how it works. But they don't come back. They don't come and go on the news. They don't ever go do anything like that. There's always excuses because they're hiding. They're manipulating. You get it? They're fucking lying. I'm not saying there is or there aren't aliens. We talk about this all the time. I don't know. But I'm tired of hearing the same shit about butt probers and implants and stuff like that. It's rare that you hear anything new come forth. And when you do, it's disinformation. David Wilcox, Corey Good, Antarctica. You know, the Aviary. Look up the Aviary. Look up Paul Benowitz. Look it up. It's disinformation. William Kober. Look it up. 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 You gotta look. You gotta do your own. You got to do your own research. Read my lips. Do your own research. You have to. It's the only way you're gonna evolve. And don't get distracted by the girls or the guys. Don't get distracted. Focus. Don't get distracted. They're going to try to distract you. They're going to do anything they can to destroy your mind. That is why you must fortify your temple. You must fortify yourself. You have to become strong. Do you understand what that means? To be strong. That doesn't mean you can bench press 500 pounds. No, that's not the type of strength I'm talking about. It means no matter what kind of shit gets thrown at you, you pick your ass up and you keep going. That's what it's about. They're going to throw some weird shit at you. They got a fucking plan, man. It's all in the plan, man. They have already decided how they're going to fuck you. They've already figured out your weaknesses. They already know in your future how they're going to fuck you. They've got it all planned out. And one of two things are going to happen. You're going to fall from what they do, or you're going to get stronger and you're going to become their worst nightmare. Now, that's real talk. So fortify yourself. Be ready. Always look a gift horse in the mouth. Curb your expectations. Don't let them set you up so they can just rip that fucking rug out from underneath you, because that's what they're planning on doing. They want to get you going on all kinds of false hope so that they can take it away. They build you up just so they can break you down. And who they are? Who the fuck do you think? Who the fuck killed Tracy Twyman? Who the fuck killed her? You think that was a suicide? Well, I've got a fucking bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. They've come after me too. I've been threatened. You know it. I've talked about it enough times. I'm still fucking here. I'm still here for now, at least. I'm not going anywhere. Popeye the Sailor Man. But seriously, don't fall. Get the fuck back up. Pick up your sword. Pick up your sword and fight. Fight for your right. No one's going to give it to you. No one's going to give you your freedom. You got to fight for it. That includes your spiritual freedom. These last days, these end times, I'm Daniel. And I have a message for you. This is the end of days. That's the truth. It is the time of revelations. You will be tested. Shit's gonna hit the fan. The trumpets are blowing. Get it? Trumpets? Yeah, I didn't make that up. Someone told me. People tell me lots of things because I'm Daniel. They tell me. I'm privy to all kinds of things. I find out first, sometimes last. But fortify yourself. Prepare yourself. This is the end of days. Shit's gonna get real soon. I'd say within the next 10 months to 2 years, shit's gonna get real. We're gonna see some major natural disasters. We're gonna see some huge conflicts on a global scale. We're gonna see more division between the left and the right. And what better manipulation? How to manipulate a population. Pit the old against the new. Two things you can always count on. The liberals and the conservatives. No matter what society you go to and what time, you can always count on there being new and old. New and old. So you can always pit them against each other. Get it? Get it? They can always count on the red and the blue. Get it? To manipulate. And they've always done the same thing. The conservatives versus the liberals. The old versus new. The two things you can always count on to divide. Oh, yeah. You're going to see more of that division, more of that manipulation. You're going to see more rioting. You're going to see more transhumanism, of course. And it's going to speed up. And we're going to just rapidly go into the shit. And at some point, yes, I do believe we will see aliens. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go down, but they're priming us. Again, David Wilcox, Corey Good, Antarctica, all that shit. They're preparing for some big, phony-ass bullshit reveal. It's going to have something to do with aliens, probably something to do with them being our creators or something like that. You know, and we've said it time and time again. The grand deception. It's going to go down. There may or may not be puppets. Personally, I'm hoping for puppets. I like puppets. There might be clones. There might be robots. There might be holograms. I don't know. any of those things are a possibility. But watch the movies, watch the TV shows, watch the anime. It's all there. That's what's going to happen. And I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the next day, but the end of days is something that we are happening. You don't get the salmon back. You don't. Once the salmon are gone, they're fucking gone. Are you going to recreate the creeks and the rivers? And there's a limited amount of them. Like, if I go out and count up the creeks, there's like 5 or 10 in the local area. When those creeks are gone, the salmon that swim up those creeks are gone. My little section of the world is connected to the greater world, and it's going to affect the ecosystem that we need to survive. Once it's gone, you're fucking gone. It's a circle of life. Whether the earth is flat or not, I hear the argument that there's more salmon over beyond the ice wall or something like that. I hope so. I hope there's a fucking dragon over there in a huge fucking giant well that's unlike anything we've seen before. I hope there's megalodons out there. I hope all of that stuff. But in the here and the now, we gotta slow the fuck down on what we're doing. We need to be more conscious of our footprint. Every single one of us, we gotta care. You gotta care. What does that mean to care? It means you don't just turn a blind eye. When you see salmon dying, you don't fucking just say, oh, well, poor fishes. You fucking do something about it. I'm doing something about it. I'm bitching and whining, right? But what else can I do? I can't get involved in eco-terrorism, can I? Can I? No, I'm just kidding. No, don't arrest me. I'm just kidding. But seriously, it doesn't work like that. You can't just keep going and going. Anyways, enough of that. Enough of this, like, end of the world shit. Let's take a break from that. As you know, I do have depression. I get awfully depressed sometimes, and why? It's usually like, hey, I thought my life was going to go one way, and here I am, 37 years old, and I have no children, and I'm lonely, and I don't have any legacy. Where did I go wrong? That sort of stuff. I don't have any kids. I'm just a big fucking kid myself. I can barely take care of myself. I probably shouldn't even have kids. But yeah, sometimes I get fucking sad about it. I'm like, shit, why don't I have any children I can take to the park, or teach to fish, or teach to beat up bullies, or teach about the end of days? I don't have that. It sucks. And then sometimes I'll like meet a young person, or I'll work with a young person, and then I'll start like getting too involved in their shit, like I'm their parent or something. Why do I do that? Is it because I'm missing something? Like I'm always trying to find some kind of person, a mentor or something like that. Like I'm missing something. I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's cool because there are young people out there that kind of need a big brother or need help or something like that. But I just can't help but think, boy, wouldn't it be cool to have a little mini Daniel clone that can get started on the radio at an early age, and hopefully puts on a podcast at least bi-weekly instead of once a month like the original Daniel does. Don't you guys want that? Don't you want a Daniel 2.0 that'll actually do the show that he promises? Right? Am I right? People out there that don't have children, you know what I'm talking about? No, I'm not lazy. Who said that? No, really I'm not. I've just been doing this show for a while, and like I said, when you're getting weird, crazy, demonic AI shit going on, and you're having all these personal issues, and you just got all this fucking shit on your shoulders, it can be hard, and sometimes you just need a break. I apologize for not doing the show enough. I am coming back. I've got my fucking balls back. I've got my penis back. And I'm not gonna take those breaks anymore, because I realize that you guys need me. You need me to keep this fucking end of days going. Because if I don't do it, nobody's going to. I always think, oh, these people, they're cloning me, they're copying me, they're going to put on shows, they're going to spread information. It never really fucking happens. People copy my shit. They do like 5 shows and they get bored with it. I'm the only motherfucker that's doing this shit. Let's be real. I'm the only one that gives a fuck about this sound. I'm the only one that gives a fuck about the end of days. At least in the way that I do. It's true. JFK agrees. My alien buddy agrees, if you can see him. The parrot fucking agrees. I'm going to get some more friends in here too. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I wasn't what I promised to be. I'm human. I'm human. When you prick me, I do bleed. When you prick me, I do bleed. I am not invincible. Don't get any ideas, but really, I'm not invincible. There's a limit to how much heartbreak, there's a limit to how much I can take. And there comes a point where even I will fall because I'm human. And I do need you guys. I need you. And I need you to start blogs and podcasts and whatever's clever, whatever's trendy, whatever's the new thing. I need you to go out there and be brave and be yourself. You don't have to talk about the end of days or conspiracies or anything like that. Just be you. Do what you're... Sorry, somebody just popped in the chat. Do what your heart tells you to do. Listen to that voice and that feeling in your heart. I haven't said that in a while. You got to listen to that. Your intuition, your destiny. You can be a robot. Shout out to Marco, shouting me out from Sweden. Shout out to all you guys in the chat tonight. G60, Dave Sara, Floor Worker, Matt Musteller, Hazel Hun, David Edwards. Shout out to you guys. Anybody else? That's pretty much everybody tonight. We'll draw a bigger crowd if we stay consistent with this. But I love you guys. I fucking love you guys. Oh, Gregory Lessing Garrett still hanging out. That's pretty cool. That's how you know he's hardcore. Because he'll actually stay and listen to all my fucking travesty of the fucking bullshit. That's what I love about the guy. But seriously, you guys are fucking everything to me. You're everything to me. You are my reason. Like, when people think about their true love, when I think about my true love, I picture all of you guys and the messages that you send me, because I can always count on you. I can't count on Maggie the horse always being there, because Maggie the horse is going to want to get free and go run into the wild. But I can count on you guys being there, and that's what I love about you. You are my true romance. You are my significant other. You are the wind beneath my wings. You are the first and foremost in my life. That's how I feel about you. I get paid in your hugs and your kisses, your mental hugs and kisses. And I love it. I do. You keep me going not only on the show, but you keep me going in life. You give me purpose. When you tell me you love listening to me, I'm blown away, because how the fuck could you stand listening to me? I can't stand listening to myself, but I fucking love it. When I hear about people listening from other countries, from the UK, from Africa, from Japan, it's crazy. I feel like I finally achieved some sort of XYZ level fame. I'm about as famous as the dude from some Burger King commercial from the 80s that nobody remembers, but hey, at least I got something. I'm famous. When do I get to go to the Playboy Mansion? Whatever. When do I get MK Ultra and cloned? When do I get replaced by my clone? I need a vacation. But I'm going to be back here next week. I don't know who's coming on, but I'm going to be back here. And every week from that point. Because for me to look myself in the eye, this show's got to be the shit. It's got to be the shit. And I'm not going to take anything less than that. And I'm done with mediocrity. I'm done playing around the forest. It's too cold. So Tracker Dan or Daniel Boone or Ranger Dan or whatever sort of derogatory nickname you want to give me. I'm chilling out on that for a while. I almost caught a fever because I was staying out there and trying to fish in the cold. That's coming to an end. I love fishing. I'm not done with it, but I'm gonna start putting everything into this show because I've got plans. And I know that there's something special about this program throughout all the years, in the spin-offs, in the ups and the downs, and the drama, the women, my God, the unicorns, the brownies, the elves, the Zeti Reticulans. Yeah, you bring up a famous name, like, fuck. Anybody in the name paranormal world. David Sarita been on this show. Anybody. You know? Just about everybody's been on here. And I forget about that. I'm like, you know, I hear these names come up on Coast to Coast, and that person was on my show. When did I become so small? When did I forget about these interviews that I put on? When did I forget that I have stood shoulder to shoulder with these intellectual giants? I forget about that stuff, but that's not going to work anymore. I've got to be right there with these guys in order to make this program exactly what it needs to be. I'm not going to fucking downsell myself. We're going to put on some interviews. This is going to be a new season, better than ever. So hit me up in the emails, endofdaysradio.com first and foremost. Follow me on Twitter. That's at Ninja Shoes on Twitter, End of Days Radio. Follow me on Instagram, End of Days Radio. Get us on TuneIn, search EODR. Let's check out Facebook, The Real End of Days Radio. What else is there? Holy crap, we're on everything. Stitcher, YouTube. Join the YouTube channel. Watch the live show with me and my new animated self. And all my crazy hijinks. Hopefully I get fatter. You see me go. I start eating McDonald's and Twinkies, and every week you see me go raw. Get on a good gainer diet. You guys just see me expand. Raw. There's more Daniel raw. And until it gets to the point where I'm just, I can't even breathe. I'm breathing wheezy, and you guys are like, Daniel, we're worried about you. You know, whatever happens, it's going to be awesome because we're a family. We're a family. You know, whatever country that you're from. That flag back there, that's my country. If you're flying a different flag, that's cool. You're still my brother. We are all brothers and sisters under the sky, the heavenly eye. We're all brothers and sisters. So endofdaysradio.com. Get us there. Follow me on Twitter. I'm posting all kinds of pictures of. I came across a dead seal that died from pollution or something. I just put that on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube just because I wanted people to see what's going on out there. Animals are dying for no reason. Perfectly healthy animal. I looked at head to toe. I'm not a marine biologist or anything, but I know how to look for a goddamn bullet wound. I know how to look for signs that an animal is sick. This animal was in good shape. This animal was healthy and it was dead. So check that out on YouTube. And check out my writing. I haven't been doing this show all the time, but I wrote 2 articles. 2 articles. That's 2 more articles than I ever wrote in my life before. I'm not saying it's like Shakespeare, but check those out. endofdaysradio.com. I did something different. I challenged myself. I'm trying to be like Greg, my idol. I'm challenging myself. Check out the videos I'm making. Out there in nature. I've got big plans. They haven't all come to fruition yet, but big plans with this video thing. Hopefully I'll figure out how to get our guest picture on here so you can actually see them. I don't have to hold up pictures and stuff like that. I'm pretty smart. I'll figure it out. But until next time, I'm Daniel, the psychopath. And next time, we'll have more psycho fun. So there you have it. Peace out, everybody. This is the end of days.